for Ghostbusters.
Me too.
Day.
That's so weird.
Birthday friends.
Oh, birthday friends. Ooh. Birthday bum chums. Ooh. You're gonna hold...
It's redirecting to...
Well, I just got a notification saying it's live on YouTube.
Yeah. Do not say fuck or bugger.
Oh, there we are. There we are. So, hey everyone, and welcome to the Nerdy Up North podcast, the nerdy podcast hosted by two northern nerds. Oh, you dick!
Right,
Tell us when.
Fucking peak too soon.
Now it's recording.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Nerdy Up North podcast, a nerdy podcast hosted by two northern nerds. I'm one of your hosts, Sam.
And I'm the other host, Paul, who's a little bit stressed.
Just a little bit.
He's juggling, like spinning so many plates at once.
Yes. This is the weekly nerdy podcast, hosted by, like I say, self and myself, and we do myself by my Sam and myself, and we've got two lovely guests this evening. I would have called them lovely, but they've been absolute bellends to start with tonight.
I'm a delight.
Yes, we've got friends of the podcast back on tonight, Martin and Jake. And for some reason,
it's me. Yes. It's MRD.
Oh my god! Oh wow! So yeah, this week we brought Jake and Martin on because we wanted to do a top 5 wrestling list, which I am so excited for. Been practicing me Macho Man, me Hulk Hogan's.
Oh dear.
Before I start though, I've got a question for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, go on.
Are you ready?
Nah.
No, I said, are you ready? Now, for the 4 of us in attendance and the 3,400 nerdy up northers watching at home, let's get ready to podcast.
Yes! Wow.
Martin Buffer over here.
Oh, what's
So yes, if you can't tell, this week's podcast is all about our favourite wrestling. So yes, we'll be talking about what got us into wrestling, what we love about wrestling, and also our top 5 wrestlers of all time. So it's going to get emotional. It's going to get quite graphic at times, I believe. But with these two on as well, it's going to be definitely not boring. I'll tell you that.
It isn't. So just before we get started, as always, just to say that everything that we talk about today is just our opinions and our opinions alone. If you don't like it, then come and join us on the live feed and get in the comments and tell us. Or join us on the Facebook group. But other than that, we just want to keep the toxicity out of nerdism. And I have just looked down at my phone and I can see the live feed, and we are pretty crystal clear. The picture's really good.
Hi, Donna. Hello, Donna. Friend of the podcast. Hello, Donna.
Oh, bless her. She'll be out of the moon.
We love you, Donna. We love you,
Donna. And Charlotte and Kev.
We do.
Really like Charlotte and
everybody
Kev.
Else. Yeah,
Now you've got to do everyone else.
And Kelly.
Poor Grant, who wanted to come on, who's not on there.
Oh, sorry, Grant. So are we going to get this show kicked off? Yes?
Yes. So before we start with the top 5s, just a few questions I want to ask before we start getting into the nitty-gritty of things. I would love to know how you got into wrestling and what was your first experience with it. I know Sam's talked about hers previously, but I would like to, because I know she's been looking forward to telling these stories. So start off with the young lady, Sam, shall we?
Me. Mine started with as you all know, because I mentioned it before, with my grandfather. We used to watch English. We used to watch the English wrestling, with Big Daddy, Dynamite Kid. There was a name that I saw today that I hadn't heard of for a long time, and I have wrote it down. Kendo Nagasaki. I was like, holy shit! It's like all coming back to us. But yeah, I used to watch it with my granddad. And then just totally fell off it. And then in the late 1990s, through to the early 2000s and just a little bit beyond. And still today, really, I still keep on top of it. I was hardcore into wrestling. Like, it was my life. And I'll talk about that throughout my picks. But yeah, that it just, I was like so ridiculously into it. Like, that's all I thought about. But yeah, excuse me. Let's start it with me granddad.
Well, my story is actually pretty much exactly the same as that. Yeah, I guess my granddad must have been like a big like World of Sport fan, or probably just saw some random like live stuff up in the north because all that. But it really only started when like WWF was kicking off in like the sort of 99 2000s Attitude Era, and yeah, it was just like it was like having him sit with us and watch it, and it was one of those things where it's kind of like the first thing where an adult had like gotten into the same thing as me, if you know what I mean. So it was like I could have like adult conversations about stupid wrestling because nobody really cared about video games that much in my households and stuff like that. But for wrestling, it was like, oh, I'm an equal now with my granddad. Like, we can talk about the thing together.
Oh, I totally get that because we were the same. Like, he was like, I've always said this, and I was talking to my mum today, and she confirmed it. She says, like, if my granddad was alive today, he would be a complete and utter nerd. Like, the reason I am in the majority of the stuff that I am is because of him. And wrestling was like a massive one. Like, we used to get around the telly, like we would watch the English one. Then when he was the first one in our family to get Sky, we used to watch the American one. We were not allowed to participate in cheering for anyone else than the British Bulldog. That was a given. Had to be Davy Boy Smith. You couldn't cheer for anyone else. But oh no, Jake, I totally get that. Like, mine and yours is nearly the same.
And it was kind of like he never told us it wasn't real or anything, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
But like, you know, like we both sort of had an understanding, but it wasn't as if he was like going, oh, them stupid wrestlers on the TV, look at them, they're not really hurt and all that stuff. It was just good to get like invested in something, but yeah.
No, I quite like that as well. Like, I'm relaxed now because I've put the age limit on the YouTube live video, so hopefully they won't take us down. So that was what I was stressing about.
Sorry, kid.
Now we can talk about hardcore matches.
Yes. Yeah. And what about you, Martin? How did you get into wrestling?
Same. I know. I was the same. My granddad, God rest his soul, I used to watch ITV Sport, World of Sport, on a Saturday afternoon. You know, used to watch kind of like you say, Big Daddy Shirley Crabtree, Giant Ace Starks, the British Bulldogs, Dynamite Kid, and Kendo Nagasaki, and guys like that. And then gradually, as we got cable, eventually Sky. Used to watch WWF Superstars. I became a big Hulkamaniac. I know it's a bit of a cliche in the 80s, but I was a big Hulkamaniac. And then just as a kid, you know, got all the video games, kind of had every WWE and WWF video game from the first WrestleMania up to Battlegrounds last year. Used to get the cereal, the Ultimate Warrior cereal. I don't know if anybody remembers it. We used to cut out.
I can't remember the cereal, but that sounds interesting.
The mask on the mask from the back of the box. Yep. Yeah. Had the figures, you know, the LGN figures. Used to get the catalogue every kind of month or whatever, the WWF magazine. Used to love watching Superstars, watching the pay-per-views, you know, and yeah, just loving kind of, you know, like walking around with like me and my brother had like Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior t-shirts. They were kind of like the Rock and Stone Cold of the day, and you know, and we had like rival t-shirts, and like I say, I had the wrestling ring and the form belts as well. So it was kind of gradually through ITV and then Sky, and used to love watching like VJ Cat, if you remember him, on Sky One, and WWF Superstars on a Saturday morning, and then the pay-per-views. One of my favourite pay-per-views was I think it was WrestleMania 9 at Caesar's Palace. Looking back though, it was an awful pay-per-view. Like, I
remember that one. It was the Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez. Yeah. But no, to be honest, I half thought you were going to come on with the Hulk Hogan t-shirt and do the whole tearing it off. I was expecting that a little bit.
Nobody wants to see that, Christ. You want viewers, don't you?
I mean, I came slightly prepared.
All right.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, look at him.
Careful, Mick Foley will be coming in to pin you for it now next door, so don't worry.
No, it's the undisputed one. It's not the 24/7. That's
Nice. I love that. Brock Lesnar rocked that the best. That him and the Undertaker rocked that 2002 title the best. Yeah.
Ooh, bugger red Undertaker though. Anyway.
Yes,
go on, Paul.
Mine was a little bit kind of similar, but different. It wasn't my grandparents or like my grandfather or my dad. It was me mum.
Really?
I think, yeah. Like, so we didn't have Sky. So my grandparents used to tape things for us, and I was taping an episode of The Simpsons. Like they used to do it. The Simpsons used to be on every Sunday on Sky One before it came out on terrestrial TV, and they used to tape it for us. And my granddad left the video on record for too long and brought the tape. And afterwards, I think it was like Saturday, a repeat of Saturday night. I forgot what it is, main event.
Yeah.
And my mum was watching it with us, and like I wasn't really that bothered. But then all we heard is the theme tune. And this crazy guy with face paint sprinting to the ring and just going all on the ropes. And since then, I was hooked. I was like, what is this magical shit?
Yeah.
And like say the physicality part didn't really come to us till later on. It was more like the characters that drew to us. I was because they were like back in the day, it was like very cartoonish. I know they did make cartoons about it at some point for Saturday morning TV. But like say the Ultimate Warrior, like totally opened my eyes to what was out there. And like say then what was it, Rowdy Piper doing the weird Scottish accent, like I said, the British Bulldog. Like I say, I was devastated when he never won a title. Like say when you're looking at all the different wrestlers for the times, and he was one of the ones, I think at my age before a certain event, he hadn't won anything. He won a Battle Royal, I think, like say in the 80s. I think that was his claim to fame. And for a wrestler as good as he was, I always expected better and stuff like that. And then, like say, as it grew more, like say, you get into it more and you want it. But back then, it was purely down to the cartoonish, crazy characters like Coco Beware and stuff. Like say, and
when he was
I have
in
to admit,
high energy, we all in heart. Yeah,
yeah. Like say, I have to admit, I was always the WWF fanboy back then. I used to like hate WCW with a passion and stuff like that. So till I got older and like experienced other type of styles, I was always like say one of the ultimate WWF back then fanboys. So that was my entrance into the world of shall we say
wrestling.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about like pay-per-views and like tapes and stuff, because like I used to have to like, my granddad had to like get someone he worked with son to like tape the pay-per-views for us, because like and then, we couldn't afford like, what was it, like 15 quid every month or whatever, like for like a pay-per-view. And
then do you remember the Silver Vision videos?
Yeah, I had a couple of those.
Yes. My uncle's was a massive my uncle's like an enigma. He's an ex-metaler, like loves wrestling, and he used to have a massive collection. Like, just imagine just this bookcase and just tapes upon tapes upon tapes. You were like spoiled for choice of how much that he had. I would love to think that he would have them now, because I have a VCR player, but I doubt that he does. I gutted. Should we kick off the lists? Because I'm really like, I'm antsy to like get started with the list.
Speaking of Bulldog winning a title as well, remember going to SummerSlam 92 at Wembley Arena when he beat Bret Hart?
Wow.
That was an amazing moment. Yeah, when he beat Bret Hart.
Yeah, that remember. Like say, I wanted to like say what I was going to plan on do. If I can do a few picks to start with, then talk about like say a few of our favorite. Like either pay-per-views or matches and stuff, just to like say, that might be a bit interesting as well. But so Sam, as you said, kicking and screaming, you want to go first this week. So,
I'm just not having a repeat of what happened last time when Jake was on, and I didn't get a chance to pick any because it all come up. And I says to Paul the other day, I'm going first. I just want the one, and then I'm happy. That's all. I'll be fine. My first one is, if anyone knew me around the time of when I started watching wrestling again, they would be angry if I didn't have this as my top pick as being my all-time favoritist of favorite wrestlers. He is the man who can sell the stunner like nobody else can. He is the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. He is my Rock. Yep.
Dwayne,
Yep.
The Rock Johnson.
I still just call him The Rock.
The Rock. Me too. I'm just I was obsessed. When I say obsessed, like I had a 6-foot poster of this man on the back of my door. I was just utterly It wasn't even the Rock persona that really got us, like the one that we know and love today. It was the Nation of Domination. When he was in that, he was just such a power and force. The match between him and Big Show at the Royal Rumble, where whose foot got touched first the floor, that kept me gripped. Like, and then you go into one of my favoriteest. It's like a tie between another one. Pay-per-views, which was Backlash. I wrote the date down to make sure I got it right. Backlash 2000. Him versus Triple H, The Rock versus Triple H, one of the best, in my opinion, stories and rivalries that has ever graced the WWE, because the chemistry between them two is just absolutely electric. And leading up to that, you had like Stone Cold was chucked in the mix. You had the DX Express getting blown up, and it was just, that night was so magical for us. I stayed up. It was on Channel 4.
Yeah, you still love watching them on Channel 4.
Yeah, it was on Channel 4. Yep, I stayed up and watched it. I fell asleep just after Trish Stratus got put through the table by the Dudley Boys, and then I woke up just as it was about to kick off, just as the promo had started, like everything that was leading up to this night, and I was screaming my head off at 4:00 in the morning when he finally won the belt back from them after the shit show that happened at WrestleMania, where it was like 4 McMahons in a corner. Like, I was never gonna go his way. But yeah, I love the man so much. You can't deny he has some of the best mic skills that the business has ever seen. Like, his wrestling isn't that brilliant. Like, he's not.
It's very John Cena-esque in some of the moves that he does, yeah.
Yes, but at least he's not Macho Man, who didn't really have any moves. He just came in, flailed about. Macho Man is not a great wrestler. I'm sorry. The man is not. I mean, he's better. He is better than Goldberg. We'll put it that way. But
he's fine in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't mean Macho. I did not mean Macho.
Did you mean Warrior? Did you mean Warrior?
Yes.
All right, the Warrior. Schoolgirl. I was going to say a Macho Man could wrestle. That was it.
Oh my God, I love Macho Man. Why would I say that?
Have you ever seen the Ricky Steamboat match?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting hot now. I've made a mistake. So yeah. Anyways, he's perfect. And I guess by all of your silences, nobody had him on the list.
No. I was gonna ask, was that match?
No.
Was that match you loved before like the Iron Man match? Like a
I really didn't like. Was that? Yeah, I did not like that match at all.
I mean,
the only part I liked about it was when Taker came out, and then I was like,
"Oh, the crapshoot!"
Like,
as a kid, I was like, Undertaker's coming back, and like I do remember sort of liking that match, but it was probably just the Undertaker bump.
Yeah, the match, it just. Iron Man matches can bore me, and especially when you don't like Triple H needs someone who can move around a lot more than what The Rock can. The Rock, like I don't know, I just think The Rock's like very he has a set amount of moves, and Triple H has a back catalogue that he can go to, like, and it drew out so much. But Iron Man matches, not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I think going back to The Rock, I think it's really amazing. I think it shows I'm trying to think of the right word. The intensity, like they want to do well as much as The Rock does. I know, like you can see where he is now in the movies and how much he's pushed himself. Mm-hmm. But the gimmick he was originally given, like that Rocky Maivia gimmick, and then like say the look was terrible. His finisher move was a flying crossbody, which is absolutely abysmal. And like say, I know at the time, with the whole clique behind the scenes and stuff, they were really trying to push him down. So he had a lot of obstacles to get by,
Shawn
to get
Michaels.
to the level was. Yeah. So again, it shows you, like say, the worth of the man. He pushed himself. Like no one else has helped him. Like say, I know, like say at the time, he got some dodgy gimmicks. I know going in the domination kind of spurred him on a little bit. But again, he was always a backstory to that.
He was, but then when he started to become the forefront, he was the shining star out of the three of them. And you had some big names in there, and he still managed to overpower them. They were just a nothing in the end. He was the one who was moving forward. And then he comes into the corporation, which I hated Corporation Rock, by the way. Like, I hated Corporation Rock.
I started loving him. That was my favorite when he became.
Don't get us wrong. I still loved him. There's nothing he can't do that I don't love, because it's just something. I know it's so cliche. Like, he is the most electrifying man in sports entertainment, but he really is. Like, he really has that something that just grabs you in, and you like, even if he's rumored to be coming back, because let's face it, they need him. But. I still would go and watch him. I would be totally.
Well, would do. Well, to be fair, every film he's in, I've watched. Like, I love Jungle Cruise. He was good in that. He's an entertaining bloke. But again, genuine. I think sometimes he comes across as a nice guy in real life. I know sometimes it can be a bit too much, but I think from where he started off to where he is now, it's unbelievable. You won't see a rising star or anyone go through the lengths.
You'll never get anyone like him.
No. That again, no. So he wouldn't be in my top 5.
I was just gonna say he was like a breakout star as well. It's like even when it was like wrestling, like everyone knew who The Rock was, even like people's parents and that. Like my auntie loved him.
Yeah, my dad's a Wyclef Jean fan, and when he did "It Doesn't Matter," me and him would just play that all the fucking time. Yeah, we would play that song. Or like, it was the only song I would allow him to play from his album because it had him on. I had his book. Like, I've read his book a million times. Everything that I could do with The Rock, I had, apart from action figures. I never collected wrestling action figures. That was the only thing I never had was figures.
I had a few, but they weren't that good normally.
No, they were like, kind of
too stiff.
Yeah,
like the arms were weird, and they had like a trigger on the back. Like,
I tell you, like the WCW figures did have better articulation, but then you only had the WCW.
Well, there's that
to play with.
episode, isn't there? The Toys That Made Us, that really good episode about the wrestling figures.
Yeah.
That was good. So yeah, that's my top pick. So you can fight amongst yourself about who goes next. Yay!
Cool. So I'll let the guests go first. I'll be polite. I'll let Martin or Jake. Which ones would you like to go?
Go for it, Martin.
Jake.
Too polite. Fine. Yeah, I'll go. So one of my first ones here is probably going to be like one of the first guys I sort of like fell in love with. It's got to be Kane.
Wow! You were a Canaanite, were you?
Oh, for sure. So yeah, like I guess like my probably first experience watching wrestling was Royal Rumble 2000. I think a friend just like brought a tape over, and I'd kind of never seen much before, apart from like whatever bits you would have seen just through pop culture. So yeah, I got in around the 2000s sort of era, sort of tail end of the Attitude Era, when Austin wasn't even there. So it is a bit of a weird time to get into wrestling. But yeah, Kane was just like a real monster, like on screen. I mean, he was obviously going for like Michael Myers vibes anyway, because he even did like the head tilt and everything like that before he started talking too much. But yeah, like he was just like amazing to like see. Like, he was just huge. He was bigger than everybody. He was like invincible. He would do like the sit-up thing whenever he was like getting beaten up and stuff like that.
I think with Kane as well, I think he was only supposed to last a few months as well. They didn't have much planned. Yeah, and he stood the test of time. And I think the only time I didn't like Kane as much as I originally did is when they unmasked him. I kind of lost the mystique.
was very weird.
Against RVD, yeah.
Because I was like,
no.
because we all obviously like thought he was like really ugly or scarred or whatever. I mean, he's kind of weird looking, but not totally ugly.
That comedy soot on his face,
Yeah, it was just really confusing, I guess, as a kid. Like at that time, I was just like, "What's going on?"
It was frightening when he turned.
Half hair on his back as well. Like, didn't shave his head properly.
Yeah, I think they were going to trial that for a while, having him like a weird bald spot head just to make him look freaky. But yeah, it was internal scarring.
Yeah, how to ruin a character in 1 second? Just take his mask off. The best time with Kane was when he was with China. Like it is one of my favorite moments is when China leaves DX to go to the corporation, and them two end up tag teaming up and leading into WrestleMania. I want to say 15, and you've got Triple H versus Kane, which was an amazing match.
Yes, that one
and
is
China
really good.
Is so cool, and then China. This is Kane goes back with Triple H. You think she's back in DX, but no, she's not. They've both joined the corporation.
That's like the weird thing about Kane, right? Like obviously, like he's like big, huge, like perfect wrestler sized, scary, but also like they do these weird like emotional arcs with him where he gets like betrayed by people, or it's like Undertaker's like dirty little secret like is coming back to haunt him and stuff like that.
Oh, the Katie Vick storyline.
Oh my God, Katie Vick, that was awful.
Oh, I was going to say, I
wasn't watching then. I wasn't watching then.
Doesn't he still hold the record of eliminations at Rumble?
No,
Roman Reigns beat it.
Oh,
yeah.
Fuck off.
I hate Roman Reigns. He's killing it as a heel, but yeah.
Let's not talk about Roman Reigns. Yeah. Not even The Rock could help that situation.
But I think he will.
My favourite part of the Kane thing was Team Hell No, though. Him and Bryan.
I was just going to say the anger management was brilliant.
He's good as a mismatched tag team partner, is War Kane. Yeah.
Yeah, I do have a soft spot for X-Pac, even though he's not on my list. I have just the man himself. So I did like it when him and Kane were together.
But he betrayed him as well.
Yeah,
that's the sad thing.
Yeah, isn't that around the Tory time as well when Tory was with him?
Yeah.
Do you remember his tag team? I loved his theme by Uncle Cracker, the X Factor.
Oh no, not X Factor.
Yeah,
that was like just incredible.
Just
and, like,
incredible,
Albert, wasn't it?
Yeah,
oh God,
that was a good theme. To be fair, it was guilty pleasure.
I'm trying to think though as well, because I'm sure when the Unmasked came, it wasn't around about the time that he was doing the film Say No Evil for the WWE, so that's why they unmasked him, I think.
Yeah. I didn't see that. I think I'd bought the novelization for like 99 pence or something because I was a big Kane mark, but yeah.
I'm surprised you haven't got the mask on you.
No, it's too expensive. I've got my eye.
Too hot. You can't speak through it. That's why.
If you want a good one, it's like 200 quid. I'm thinking about it.
Slow Chemical was a great theme.
Yeah, the guy like behind the mask though is like, which one? No, it's okay. What were you saying?
It was like when he unmasked, they gave him like new music. It was just like a cover version, but it had singing. You know, like how they did Forcible Entry and gave everyone lyrics.
Forcible Entry was a great album.
The name sounds great.
It was very 2000s name.
I had the one with, was it WrestleMania the Music 5 or something where it had The Rock singing Pie?
Oh, the Pie song. How did we not talk about the Pie song?
That's just brought it all back.
Rock's unfortunate impression of a Chinese lady.
Oh, yeah. Ching chow bao.
Oh, my God.
Driving down. I know the lyrics still, but you don't ask me to sing it,
Yeah.
No, I was
going to say as well, because like we can't mention Kane and not mention his previous persona before that as Isaac Yankem, the dentist.
Who did he used to work for? Was he like Ted DiBiase's evil dentist or something?
No, it was Jerry the King Law. It was Jerry the King Law's dentist, because
that makes much more sense.
As well.
Because Bret the Hitman Hart had a like I said, rivalry with the King, and suppose he punched the King and knocked a tooth out, and that's how Isaac Yankem, because Isaac Yankem was angry that Bret the Hart had messed up Jerry the King Law's teeth.
I think he was the Christmas creature. I think he was the Christmas creature as well, which was like
he was thing. And he was fake Diesel as well.
Yes, he was.
Fake Diesel, that was shite.
I remember that. So, Martin, who you got?
Well, there's three I had to leave out first, and I'm gutted I had to leave them out, but I will. Ric Flair, I know, I forget that Dark Side of the Ring, the guy was amazing. Kurt Angle and AJ Styles, I'm gutted I had to leave them out, but I've left them three out. Firstly, yeah, I'm gonna. He's not my number one pick, he's number two, but my Undertaker. Yeah, he's in my top five. And it's not just because of the presence. He's reinvented himself, but he can move. For a big guy, the guy is amazing. He was incredible. Great character, even when he reinvented himself as a badass. You know, and it was great to see him come back as that in the Boneyard match last year against the phenomenal AJ Styles. But yeah, great mover. You know, like just watching him do his old school move, literally called the old school, where he'd walk the ropes. The guy could move. You know, he was phenomenal for a wrestler. And
I was used to like when he would like go backwards over the ropes and land on his feet as well. That was always pretty impressive.
That was so cool. He has some of the most iconic matches. Like the Mick Foley and Undertaker, you cannot not talk about wrestling and not have that in your conversation, because that is one of, and he like, you can tell he really doesn't know what's going on half the time, because he's kind of like, especially when Mick gets thrown off the top of the ring, he's like,
he was doing that with a broken ankle, wasn't it? Undertaker had a broken ankle when he was wrestling that match, but the amount of injuries that happened within that.
That's just not Mick falling off, was it?
No, it was before he had a broken ankle going into the match, and he was so pissed off that Mick Foley went to the top of the ring that he actually did smack him around a bit.
Because he made him climb up there.
Because the Undertaker said, "Do not go at the top of there," and the fact that he went up. And he couldn't not follow him, because what's he going to do?
Yeah.
Well, come back down.
He's honestly, he's one of the most respected men within the industry. He was so loyal to Vince, and he, you know, the whole Brock Lesnar like doing the whole. Even though I don't know if you remember this, nobody gave a shit about Undertaker's WrestleMania streak at all. I can never remember watching a WrestleMania, but it wasn't until it got into around like the 18s and 19 mark that people started to go, hang on a minute. Nobody give them monkeys, and then all of a sudden,
the commenters never mentioned it. Like, you're right.
Nobody give a shit.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever planned type thing. And the only thing, again, this is not me shitting on the Undertaker, because I do like him, but he did go on too long, and it did tarnish his legacy a little bit, because some of the later matches, that one match with Goldberg broke my heart.
Oh yeah,
that was just uncomfortable to watch.
He's
like on last ride.
Unfortunately, he has become a bit of a parody of himself, and he's done some like weird stuff on social media, like been like pro guns and like all that crap. And wearing like Blue Lives Matter t-shirts and weird like antagonistic stuff like that.
He's allowed to break kayfabe now, you know, with the fact that he's reinvented himself so much. It's like, we know he's not a zombie, you know.
No, I didn't know that.
Sorry, Jay.
Or is he a wizard? Like, is Undertaker a wizard? That's a thing, because he can shoot lightning when he feels like it. Is he a necromancer? Is he a zombie?
Did anyone else get really upset during that Royal Rumble match when you thought he died to Yokozuna? And when Yokozuna,
what you were going to say when Maven eliminated him?
That's what I was. That's what I was thinking as well.
Because Yokozuna put him in the casket and they dragged him out, and then in the teleprompter it came up and it looked like they'd done it so that his Undertaker's spirit was leaving the casket.
Yes, I remember seeing that. But yeah, like he used to die every once in a while, I guess, for like injury reasons, and then come back.
WrestleMania 20 when he came back was incredible.
But like, have you noticed as well how like recently is like "rest in peace" catchphrase? He does like a weird like noise at the end where he's like "rest in peace." I don't know why, but he has started doing that every time, and it's silly every time.
And he did that commercial. I've never noticed that. But he did that commercial last year as well, didn't he, with his daughter and his wife? I'm not going to be I'll notice that now.
Yeah. But I'd say some of the big matches with the Undertaker, I'd say you can't. Shawn Michaels, the 2 ones, because absolutely perfection in a wrestling ring.
Was it WrestleMania 25? One of those, the good one.
I can't remember. The 2 of them was like, say, you thought both of them. Sorry, what you saying there, Sam?
What? No, go on.
What?
No, like I say, the Shawn Michaels matches, the 1 year that was amazing, and then the year after was just like say even better. Even had the emotion of there being a Shawn Michaels retirement as well, and as much as like say, I know he has his up and downs, like say with views on Shawn Michaels due to the wrestling, but their matches, I don't think they could have had it with anyone else, because Shawn Michaels is, as I said, he is the WrestleMania stealer, Mr. WrestleMania, but the Undertaker was absolutely on fire, and that's when I think he should have called it a day.
Yeah, that would have been perfect.
That would have been amazing.
Bray Wyatt should have ended the streak.
But I think Bray Wyatt had his own problems also. I think that was.
Yeah, I think because Undertaker, this is the kind of person he is. Like as Mark Calloway, he will do anything to put anyone over. The Maven situation at Royal Rumble, it would have been his idea to do that. It wouldn't have been anyone else's. It had to have come from him, because he is the guy who wants to get the other guys over, because he wants to be replaced. He wants to do it on his terms with the people that he wants to do it with. Were you talking about Shawn Michaels?
Sorry, I was just when you're saying putting people over, it's a great point. Did you ever hear the Cody Rhodes interview where he was talking about he was in a WrestleMania match? He was only young, he was just starting out
against
a Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and he came in and he didn't know what to do, and the Undertaker pulled him one side, went, "Look, you're going to hit us as hard as you can, and you're going to drop kick us. I'll fall over, then we'll do whatever." And he went, "The Undertaker's letting us hit him and fall over. I'm nobody, and the Undertaker's doing this for us." That's like I say, he was putting, because someone knocking at the time, knocking the Undertaker off his feet was such a big deal. And massive. Cody Rhodes said he would never forget that. He said, "There's people in the wrestling business he loves and hates, but he'll never not love the Undertaker for what he did that day to him."
And when he shook John Cena's hand, and when he endorsed Jeff Hardy after the ladder match on Raw,
he did.
I guess like you were saying, like loyal to Vince to a fault, perhaps in his later years.
Almost to a fault.
Definitely loyal.
Did you ever hear about the backstage courtroom?
Wrestler's Court.
And Wrestler's Court, and Undertaker was judge and jury, basically.
He's got a silly little gavel that he keeps in his boot to this day.
He stood up for The Rock when Triple H and Shawn Michaels were trying to hold The Rock back. Undertaker basically steps in and was like, "No, The Rock's kind of, he's a future."
Yeah. What are you Shawn Michaels matches you were talking about earlier? Did you not remember the Triple H matches he used to have?
Yes, but
I just thought that I know what you mean. They were really good. The Shawn Michaels ones were amazing, and it should have been a career stopper when the three of them walk out.
Hell in a Cell against Triple H,
unreal, absolutely unreal. Some of the matches he had with him were great.
I've never been a Triple H fan, though. That's the thing. I've never really liked him. I think, as you said, with movesets, he's one of the most limited movesets I've seen in a while. But again, that's just my personal opinion. I know people think
got a problem with
I get what you mean. Oh my god,
a knee to the face, clothesline. But anyway.
I just think when I was comparing him and The Rock earlier, I just think because The Rock really doesn't have a lot of movesets, but I always thought Triple H could sell things better and move around a lot more than what The Rock could. But that's just my opinion.
They're around about the same size as well. So like Rock and Triple H were always a good match because they're kind of like same size.
The problem was Triple H had that golden sledgehammer. And did you hear that story about Triple H with video games, WWE video games as well? Screenshots. I shit you not. When they'd always unveil the latest WWE SmackDown game, SmackDown versus Raw, this is the truth. Triple H basically sent out a thing to the PR. He said that they will not allow any screenshots of Triple H in a vulnerable state where he's being attacked, where he's down on the mat or anything like that. Any screenshots of the upcoming game have to show Triple H in control.
All right. Strange.
All right.
That's
all I know about Triple H in games is that you can use it as a test to see how good the game is. Like, how good does Triple H's hair look?
Yeah, on the old SmackDown games on the PlayStation when it used to just be like solid,
just
fly around,
like move, look ridiculous.
Now he's cut it off, so we can't do that anymore.
No. He did. Do you know what? He did do a lot. He's done a hell of a lot for NXT, and probably he'll.
The man now. I love the man, and he's got. Yeah,
he's done a hell of a lot for NXT, and especially the women's division. I've never really been the biggest a fan of him, but as a person, I think he'll never get the opportunity to do what he really wants to do. As long as Vince is alive, he will never be able to fully push forward. But for what he has done,
gonna have to do Game of Thrones.
Yes,
he'll make an amazing Kratos.
Cool. Yeah. So that was Martin's first pick. I can't believe we're just on our first picks. So that was the Undertaker. Rest in peace. I was going to try and see if I can do the eyes roll back. No, so this is not my top pick, but this is the one that probably I've loved as a technical wrestler. This is the one that got me into the technical side and thought the craft was brilliant, and even working in say you work a leg, you'd work an arm, and he would use the base and match around that, and brought the element a little bit more real, even though he's went on record and said he's never injured or hurt anyone in the wrestling business that he's been in the ring with. And it's simply the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be.
He's my number one pick. Yeah, he's actually my number one. So yeah, the
excellence of execution.
Yes. Just for someone to wear pink and be in such a manly type of business. He wasn't the biggest guys. He's went on record and said he did have to pump in the steroids and stuff at the time when Vince wanted everyone to be bigger. Mm-hmm. But as a execution, as a storyteller, some of the matches you go back in history and they are the best. The match with him and Stone Cold with Ken Shamrock as the referee, that day I thought wrestling was real. Like I say, I watched that match and I would argue with my friends and say, you call wrestling fake, watch this match and tell me it's fake, because you could not tell. It was brutal. It was absolutely phenomenal. And even though they absolutely hate each other, and it ended up being the reason why Brett left the WWE at the time, the matches with Shawn Michaels. I know, Sam, you mentioned the Iron Man matches being the most tedious matches there is. I agree completely. But the Iron Man match with Brett and Shawn, where they went for a whole hour without a pinfall, without anything, was done perfect. And the storytelling in that hour was just magic. And I'd say I love his books as well. When I've read his books, they're so honest. And I think that's one of the things, like I said, a lot of wrestlers you don't get is an honesty. And he loves wrestling. You can tell us it's in his family. If you go back to his dad, Stu Hart, in the dungeon, how many wrestlers came from that dungeon as well, like big names like Chris Jericho. Again, I don't want to mention his name, but I will. Chris Benoit.
Mention his name, Paul. No, mention it.
You know what?
Mention it. He was part of the wrestling. Yeah, he was part of the wrestling industry. You cannot not talk about wrestling sometimes without not bringing him up. What he did was absolutely atrocious, but he was still part of it. So yeah, bring him up.
Just got a caveat that he was a big old criminal at the end of the run.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so
can I just say one thing, and we'll get it out the way with now? I don't like him.
Oh, were you one of the ones who used to boo Brett?
Yep.
Well,
I totally on Shawn Michaels' side.
I totally missed Brett entirely because he was well gone before I started watching.
Boo!
But I know he's good, and what you were saying about him being honest is interesting because he's been honest the entire time, even when he's been having like a bad time, and you can tell he's like done some really like grumpy interviews and called everyone awful. But he's kind of he's turned around at this point, and I think he's a lot like happier in himself, and he's now being honest about that, and you know, he's kind of
the honesty train though sometimes I think needed to be said, especially along the lines of Seth Rollins when he went down hard on Seth Rollins about how he's a dangerous wrestler. If you could injure so many people as much as he has, they need to take him out of the ring, and he was dead on. I think he's dead on when it comes to stuff like that, because he's he's an amazing wrestler, Seth, but he can be very sloppy, and it's proven to have injuries. I was never a fan of Bret, but as the man that he is, very much reminds me of the man who I really love. He's not on my list, but I love the man so much, is Bryan Danielson. When you talk about honesty, you can't get any more honest than reading Bryan's book. He literally said in that book, I don't need WWE. I've never needed WWE. I could walk into the indie industry and make just as much money, have more of a life. I really don't need them. And he was so brutally honest about it. And I think he worked with Bret a lot. I think it rubs off on people, the way Bret is, the way he brings himself into the industry. It rubs off, and you can see that through Bryan.
Yeah. And like I say, I know, Martin, you said he was your number one pick, so I would love to get, like I say, your take on as I said, the pink and black attack.
Loved it. It was, the Hart Foundation were a great tag team. Because
you forget, he started off as a tag time as well. Yeah, so that's the thing. You always forget about. I had his
shades as a kid. I loved his shades, and it was great. He could wrestle and mop and make the mop look like like the best wrestler on the planet. He was incredible, Bret Hart. It was a shame his WWE career kind of ended the way it did, but it's
so iconic though. Like, come on, we're still talking about it. We're still talking about it today. It's 27th anniversary or something on Tuesday. Like, we're still talking about this event today. Like, it was shit what happened, but look at the way you went out. This will be talked about for years upon years to come, and it has.
It gave us brilliant. It gave us evil Mr. McMahon as a character as well.
It did.
Because he was really evil.
He was really, really evil.
Himself turned up to 11, as they say.
The biggest shame was when Oldberg killed his career, though, in WCW with that kick and the bike incident. But
But
didn't he have like a metal plate to like stop Goldberg's spear or something, like a metal plate under his?
He put a bacon tray under his thing when he got speared. That was hilarious. But as Martin said, that kick that Goldberg done, that was brutal. I don't know if you've seen the video.
Yeah.
When you see his head snap back,
I will
horrible.
never watch anything with Goldberg. That man should never have been allowed to step into a wrestling ring ever. Because he cannot wrestle. He's dangerous. Chris Jericho has said so many times how dangerous that man is. He should never have been allowed to be in charge of anyone else's safety because he's so careless. Do not like him. Should never have been a wrestler.
Yeah, loved. Did you ever see I think it was his first or second match in WCW that got him in the ring with William Regal.
This one's infamous as well.
And at the time, I think it was called Steven Regal at WCW.
Yeah, he was.
And he was pissed off. Steven Regal was putting us in with this person that they wanted us to put over. So he just went right, and he showed Goldberg up, and the rest of the match is hilarious because William Regal's just doing all these simple moves, but Goldberg doesn't know how to react to them, so he's just flopping all over that place like a thing.
I think that's a weird one because I was checking out Regal's book recently, and like the way he tells it now is that he kind of just went out there and they told him to do like 11 minutes with Goldberg or whatever, and he was like, yeah, fine, and he just, as he calls it, he just did a wrestling match. But obviously, as you say, Goldberg didn't know how to like react to like hammerlocks or anything, simple stuff like that.
Because he had no business being in that ring.
Because he's a giant football player that got in a wrestling ring.
Exactly.
And also,
I didn't know what he was doing.
I loved on Jericho's book as well when Jericho actually beat the shit out of Goldberg.
Yeah.
Yes. I haven't read his book, but I've listened to his podcast, and he has mentioned it so many times on there.
Amazing. Both books are amazing. They are. And also about Goldberg as well. Fuck Vince. Fuck Vince for what he did to the Fiend in Saudi Arabia, the way that he had Goldberg go over the Fiend.
No, yeah.
I think there's definitely been some stuff in the back with Bray Wyatt, because like I say, that's why he's been released. I think I think Bubba Ray had done an interview recently, and he said a lot of wrestlers are getting tarred with basically a bad attitude or difficult to work with now. But I think it's about knowing your worth. A lot of the wrestlers, because back in the day, you used to fight your corner, but there's so many things that happen now where the people just say, you've got to go with it, you've got to do this, you've got to forward. Like Dean Ambrose, for example, went, no, fuck it, I'm out of here. Know your worth.
His interview with his first podcast with Jericho was interesting, you know.
I totally agree with that. Oh, sorry, Martin.
It's all right. No, you were saying.
I know Charlotte Flair's getting tarred with the same blush as well. She's getting the same
Charlotte will be gone. Charlotte will be gone shortly.
Good.
Charlotte will be gone in
AEW. Charlotte.
To go straight to AEW with Andrade.
they really don't. Do you know what though? AEW have opened up the eyes of all the wrestlers that have been pinned to the fact that if you are ever going to make it, you're going to make it in the WWE, and it's not the case anymore. How they operate is how every wrestler has wanted. Bray Wyatt will be in the best hands with AEW. Honestly, the future is so bright with wrestling because of that industry.
I'm slightly worried for them, to be honest. Just because of the sheer numbers that they are signing now. So who do you put the belt on? Who do you? You can't have CM Punk lose. You can't have Daniel Bryan lose. You can't have Kenny Omega lose. Now you've got Cowboy, Hangman. Sorry, he's got to go somewhere. They've got too many big stars that need to fit in holes.
Because the WWE they've just done another batch of releases as well. Nia Jax is now gone.
Get rid.
But no.
She only had a job because she was The Rock's cousin. Oh well.
My whole.
But no.
She's not a good wrestler. She really is not. She's very dangerous. She's another one who's a sloppy wrestler who's hurt far too many people. You know, and when that starts to happen, they need to take them out. They've got a territory where they can train them. They don't need to be pushing them forward and making them hurt more people.
You know who Nia Jax is like? Actually, the Ultimate Warrior.
Yes,
she's got an amazing look, but like the wrestling is dangerous.
That's all that's going for her. She's absolutely stunning. She's a gorgeous woman. She's got such a strength behind her, and she just didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm just going to get my Nia Jax.
The company's shite at the minute. The company's shit. You know,
I think but yes. Before we start slagging off everyone and the father, but yes. So
move on.
Then
number 2.
There's our first pick. So before we move on to number 2, I want to see what's your overall what kind of pay-per-view do you get most excited for when it turns around? Because mine's the simple one. It's the Royal Rumble each time. I love the anticipation, the excitement, even the surprise. I'm gonna have to agree with you.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. The Royal Rumble always has some surprising events that happen, and I always remember the one where I was meant to be going to work at 8:00 in the morning. Ant was sitting up watching it, and out of nowhere, John Cena comes back when he's not meant to be coming back. I was buzzing my tits off. I was like, I don't even like the bloke, but oh my god! And I had to sit and watch it. But I really enjoyed the female Royal Rumble that they did a couple of years ago. I thought that was absolutely spectacular. It should have happened so many years ago.
Poor Beth Phoenix nearly lost her head.
Yes, she did.
But she used to have to just be in the men's rumbles, didn't she, Beth?
Yeah,
she did. Beth had she was very tarnished, very much the same as China was. They didn't know what to do with that because she was an actual physical wrestling woman. But I found it absolutely fantastic that every woman in that Royal Rumble had a chance to show their worth, and the fact that it was Nikki Bella, who I fucking adore. I just love the woman. Nikki Bella and who was she? Who was the final? Well, it was Brie and Nikki and what's her name?
Asuka, wasn't it?
Yes, that's it.
Because Asuka won the first one, didn't she?
Asuka won. Asuka won.
But then
yes,
then they made the mistake of bringing in fucking Ronda Rousey to spoil Asuka's thunder.
It was just bad timing. Yeah, it was just bad timing. Ronda would have been amazing if she came in towards the beginning of the Royal Rumble, because she could have been involved in that, and you could have had other women go up against. It's just really bad timing on the Ronda Rousey thing. The one thing, just to get me a little gripe out of women wrestling out the way with, is the shit show that they did with Money in the Bank, the fucking women's Money in the Bank, where that James what's-his-face won it.
That was awful, wasn't it?
I could have thrown my fucking telly out the window. How dare they? That was it. It's the first ever Money in the Bank women's event, and a man won it. No, it was even worse than when they did
as well.
I think they did that. Didn't they do that like in the mid 2000s? Like they had like some kind of a woman's like.
It was Santino Morello.
Yeah, the sick guy.
Yeah,
Santino Morello, and he won Miss WrestleMania.
Yeah, that was it.
Kidding us. I sounded like the sister there.
They make a lot of inroads with the women wrestling, but then they make they think it's going to be funny, but it kind of just it's not. Like 10 years too late jokes type thing. But
yeah, it's not funny. But there's my gripe out the way with Royal Rumble is my favourite. There you go.
Yeah, one of my favourite Rumble moments was probably I don't know if it wasn't the last Rumble where Edge won it. It was the one where he returned. Because I know it was rumoured, but you the emotion and like say when you saw him come out and after like say 10 years, I think he was never going to do this again. I know it was a similar feeling when Bryan Danielson came back and was going to wrestle again, but with Edge to see his face and the actual look on his face when he's like, this is real, this is happening. I have to admit, I shed a tear. That was absolutely unbelievable in my eyes. But yeah, Rumble always has a big special place in my eyes. I don't know, what about you two guys?
I agree with the Rumble because it's just like, I just like big casts of characters, and this is like, everyone gets to come out to play.
Everyone's on a playing level field. There's no hierarchy in it. That's what I like about it. I obviously like surprise entrants are like fun, like classic guys coming in, but that wasn't what excited me as a kid. It was like, Al Snow's out here and like he's fighting Stone Cold and shit like that. Yes.
It was just like the mid-carders were like you said, they had a chance in our eyes at the time. But now it's like they replace all the mid-card guys with like, it's DDP's back and he's gonna do one move and then get thrown over the top rope.
I do think it's sad in that way, but similar thing. I love the element. I know he's been released, but when Keith Lee came in against Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar was dancing to his music, going, big fucker here. And you actually see him mouth it, like say the stand up, and then like say Keith Lee at the time, he was absolutely on fire in NXT, and just to standing there looking at each other and like both of them eyeballing, you said this could be a future WrestleMania thing, but. It didn't quite happen. It could happen in a few years' time. But yes, like I said, one of the moments I'm still looking forward to and hope we do get is a Shinsuke Nakamura versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. That's one of the matches I'm hoping we do get.
Let's hope it doesn't get released.
Yeah, I know that's what I'm saying, because the New Japan stuff was supposed to be amazing. So I'm hoping we can get something similar.
It'd be interesting to see Brock Lesnar actually wrestle.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
It certainly would. Go on, Martin, what's yours?
Royal Rumble, because I used to like SummerSlam, but now SummerSlam just feels like another pay-per-view to me. It's boring.
Nothing special.
Royal Rumble, and I still love WrestleMania because I love the music that they choose every year. The theme, the kind of like big time. Written in the stars, that kind of thing. I love when they reveal the sets. You know, there's still huge moments like the Hardy Boys coming back. That was
amazing. God, I bawled my eyes out. I cried so much.
But yeah, it's still, I love waiting to see what the set's going to look like and the moments. And yeah, it's a Royal Rumble, like you said, because it builds up that kind of road to WrestleMania. But then WrestleMania, there's still that. It's the Super Bowl. It's our Super Bowl.
Yeah. It's the thing about the sets, actually, they've kind of got rid of sets. Like they used to have like crazy stuff. like the Royal Rumble 2000, like my favorite one, it has like the New York cab car like over the top.
Yeah.
The fake alleyway, because they had a street fight. It had a theme. Like it was just all like it was all there.
They proper toned it down now. Like the Backlash one in 2000 had these big,
The
massive,
hooks.
like
The
hooks coming in.
So
and
iconic.
Jeff Hardy dived off one.
Yeah,
He did.
What hasn't Jeff jumped off, to be fair?
And that King of the Ring where it had like the weird glass panels, and then Shane got thrown through.
That was uncomfortable. That was
everyone. It was like a big electric chair above it as well. But too many concussions.
I think everyone in the audience was saying, "Please stop." Please, Kurt, stop suplexing into the glass. It's not going to break.
See, I always hated Shane McMahon, so I was like, "Come on, Kurt, suplex him again." And then he just like runs in face first.
I love him.
All about the money.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I absolutely love Shane. I loved the match between him and Vince when it was the whole Trish Stratus, Linda McMahon being in a coma. Like, honestly, some of the storylines are really, really effed up, aren't there? I mean, come on, who puts their wife into an induced coma, then brings her down to the ring for him to witness him berate his mistress about?
To be fair, he did want to do an incest angle with his daughter. So
he did.
It wasn't even just the induced coma though. He had her in the mental ward, like he's forcing her to watch Raw and SmackDown. He was like coming in there every week.
This is your punishment.
Like being like, happy Valentine's, Linda.
And then when she gets out of the chair like a zombie and just kicks him in the grapefruits,
But that match, if you take all that aside, that match with Shane and his dad, Shane really put a lot into it, and it was so good. It was a really good.
He does his coast-to-coast Van Daminator thing, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Some of the storylines in the McMahon family, man, have been so questionable. Like, how did we think this was okay when we were growing up? Like, we totally blindsided to the fact that Vince got his daughter abducted, and then also Stephanie was drugged and married.
No, but that was a trick, though. That was the trick. They were both evil.
Vince is more
But we up until the point when we at Armageddon, when it was revealed that she was in on it the whole time, we generally believed that Stephanie was drugged and then taken away to Vegas to be married, and we were okay on with camera. This.
Poor test, bless him. But
rest in peace, Test.
Rest in peace. Yes. So on to our second pick. Jesus, is going to be a long one. So Sammy, it's your turn.
Right, okay, so my second pick is the man. See, I am not a Macho Man, Hulk Hogan, Bret the Hitman Hart fan. I didn't get any of them. They weren't my cup of tea, but the man who brings the most psychological disturbance and can grab you with every single word that comes out of his mouth, even to this day, is Jake the Snake Roberts. I fucking love this man. The psychology that he brings to each promo he does is so, like, you are so taken in by his first couple of words, you have not really paid attention to what he's saying, because you are absolutely mesmerized by the man. The match at what really got us into Jake the Snake was, obviously, he's not the greatest wrestler. Like, his finisher was a DDT. Like, it's
it was always a short clothesline, then a DDT for Damien's DDT. Yeah. Was it Damien's Dinner Time? It was called. But I think at the time he was the only one. He was the only one that was doing the DDT at that time.
Yeah, he was but Superstars of Wrestling. I've got the date here. 1991. Jake comes out with a cobra, Macho Man Randy Savage, and he latches that cobra onto his arm, and real blood comes out of his arm. And I was like, this is fucking amazing. Like, holy shit, this is fucking real.
Apparently the cobra was his favorite snake because it was like the smallest that he had to.
He went through so many, every week.
Did. There was one of them he absolutely despised, and I don't think that's the one he brought down on the day either. Yeah. But I love this man. Like, I've followed him since being little, even to now. His rehabilitation story is inspiring. His episode on Dark Side of the Ring is heartbreaking. He is.
I know he doesn't come in Beyond the Mat, the documentary that came out, he wasn't shown in a great light in that when he was doing his addiction.
But then watch the documentary he did with DDP. And you understand where that comes from. The man's been through shit. Like he's been through shit that some of us, like, you know, touch wood, will never ever go through. But I love the man so much. I love where he is now. The documentary with Jake, what was it called? The
Resurrection.
Resurrection of Jake the Snake. Yeah.
Honestly, I bawled from start to finish with that. It was so inspiring, and the work that DDP does with these wrestlers, not just the rehabilitation side of coming off alcohol, just the healing side as well. Chris Jericho puts him down to add nearly 20 more years into his career because of the work that he does with these wrestlers. But Jake just has such a special place in my cold little heart.
Well, that pick did get, like, say, a lot of positive on the YouTube channel there. So Bradley's agreeing with you. So you're getting some joy there. So well done.
My favorite Jake the Snake promo is like the one he did for like the $1 Million Man, where he's like going on about like wallowing in the muck of avarice and all that stuff. It's like, it's amazing. It's
his
like you say,
psychology is unreal.
Because of how they used to cut it back then, they would like pre-record the promo. So like at the end of that promo, his music hits and he comes out and it's just like it's so good.
It was so good. His psychology that he brings to it. Like every wrestler has some form of way of putting themselves forward, and Jake's was so like not sinister, but just there was a mystery behind him.
Kind of sexy as well. Scary sexy.
Very. Like, very.
I'm getting chills just thinking about promos now.
he did bring the metal aspect to professional wrestling as well. Like when everyone was cartoony, he was like the goth version of the cartoon kids and stuff like that.
Sinister Rick Rude, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Like a sinister
he was,
Rick
but he
Rude.
didn't. But he also had an obtainable figure as well.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
He had a dad bod type thing.
Yeah, he wasn't the size of like Macho and Hulk, but he still could. He could power through a ring like no one could. Like he was unreal, but he wasn't big and butch.
Loved him.
He brought such a relatability to him.
I loved his. Like I say, his feud with the Undertaker. That was one of my highlights as well. Like say when they used to do the grave, the casket interviews, and he locked the Undertaker's hand in the casket and started hitting him over the head with the urn and stuff like that. That was all thing. But I still remember that. That's the one that stands out the most for me about Jake the Snake Roberts there.
The only thing that pissed me off with Jake the Snake, and it wasn't Jake the Snake himself, was when he came back a few years ago. I think it was at Raw 1000. He got no reaction, and that pissed me off. I was like,
because nobody knows who he is, and it's a sad state of affairs that the WWE have never really, like, they don't promote him like they do Hulk Hogan.
Did you see Dean Ambrose though that night? Did you actually see, even though Dean Ambrose was out cold, he actually smiles when he's got a smile on his face when the snake's like pooing on him and everything.
Yeah.
Because he's like, because he loves the fact that, because he was a big Jake the Snake fan growing up. And thoughts to John Moxley as well. I hope you recover in rehab.
Yes. Yes.
I can't let Jake the Snake go without saying that he was pretty cruel to those snakes, and he's never apologized for it. Sorry.
Oh my God! Why did you have to do that? It still doesn't, honestly.
It's a big thing, though. It's a big thing that comes up with him, like about the animal cruelty angle. But to be honest, like Vince made him take the snakes on the planes with him. Like it wasn't. They wouldn't like bust them around for the wrestlers. Like you had to take your props with you, and he hated them.
One of the best stories, though. I don't know if anybody's ever listened to the Bunny Ears podcast with Macaulay Culkin, and listen to it. It's brilliant. But there's an interview with Jake the Snake, and there's a story where the British Bulldogs basically killed one of the snakes. They did like the elbow drops on it. So what Jake did in revenge? Do you remember Winston the Bulldog?
Yeah.
Basically, he fed the Bulldog a load of laxatives, right? And then he put the Bulldog in the locker, basically, and then the Bulldogs, basically, Dynamite Kid and Davey Smith went out left Winston in the hotel room, not realizing they fed him all this meat and laxatives. So when they got back, Winston had shat all the wall, the TV everywhere.
Amazing.
Yeah, and they had to basically like pay for the damage. Like there was shit everywhere.
Poor dog will see more animal cruelty.
Yeah.
Bless you. So what were you going to say, Sam? I know you were trying a few times to get your words out there. Bless you.
Sorry.
I can't remember. Doesn't matter. I can't remember.
Well, what I was going to say as well, if we didn't have Jake the Snake as well, we wouldn't have Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, because 16.
Yeah, 316 was made.
Yeah.
Was made due to his match at the King of the Ring, his match with Jake the Snake when he famously come out afterwards. Austin 316 just said, "I kicked you."
Yeah.
It was it's one of the most impressive and best improvisations that has ever been done, because it literally made him. It was the John, what was it? John something. He was quoting from the Bible and then comes out.
You
with
could
the
keep
Austin
your John 316 because Austin 316 says I just kicked your ass. Yeah.
It's honestly, if you want improv, when it comes down to sorry, my husband's texting us. When it comes down to improv,
how dare he?
It was like he's just rang us there, which is what took us completely off guard. And I've just sent him a message saying I'm still recording. And he was like, "Oh, I've just seen your message." Right.
Is he not watching it live?
Oh.
He is at work. He doesn't watch them anyway. He's not allowed. But yeah, the improv skills. That was the level everyone aimed for, was Austin's improv on that night. But that's my number one. No, two choices. Jake the Snake.
Cool
choice.
So we're going to Jake for one Jake to another Jake.
My middle name is Robert as well, so I'm almost there.
Same,
a little bit less animal cruelty with this Jake there.
Of course, I'm a vegetarian. But anyway, that's a good segue on to Bryan Danielson, one of my picks.
Really?
It's honestly like it's kind of like similar to what Paul was saying before about like the in-ring execution. And he's like just recently came back into AEW, like doing his whole American Dragon gimmick again from like Ring of Honor. And it's like he's just like beautiful to watch. Like the submissions, they look painful, they look perfect. He like transitions amazingly. He does his like class thing where he holds something on a little bit too long and like the ref counts and he's like, "I have till 5, ref."
I remember that in the old day when he used to go like that.
Yeah. It's true though, he does have till 5. But yeah, like it's just nice seeing that side of him again, because when he was sort of like big in like the Yes movement, he was kind of more of a run around, dive through the ropes, like do sort of like big moves kind of guy. But I've really been enjoying.
Yeah, because they didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to do with him. He wasn't when he was in that movement, he wasn't wrestling men who were in his same caliber, and he had to then drop down his skill. He doesn't have to do that anymore, and I'm so happy for him. I love the man so much. I am a huge Bella fan, and continued into being a huge Bryan Danielson fan. Like I love the man. His technical ability is unreal. But if you read his book, you understand why it is as good as it is, because the man doesn't settle for anything less than perfection.
Yeah, and he's the biggest wrestling fan out there himself.
Yep.
So
he is.
And what I like about it as well, because a lot of these wrestlers who leave WWE want to slag it off, but no, even though he's had his experience there, he gets what WWE is. And he even come out and went, "Look, I'm not going to badmouth him. This is what I was at WWE. It's given me this life. I'm happy I was there. I'm happy I learned so much." And he loves Vince McMahon as well. He praises him to the hills. And now it's basically he's going to be a wrestler again. He's not going to be a sports entertainer. Yeah. I think that's what's exciting him a bit more.
Definitely. You can tell he's happy in the ring, even though he's sort of playing a bit of a heel, I guess, at the moment, just because he's does so many painful things to people. You can't really be a full good guy doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, he's just one of the all-time greats. The whole like Yes movement thing, that kind of got me excited about wrestling again when he had that like giant WrestleMania where he beat like Triple H and Batista and Randy and won. It went downhill pretty quick after that, but that was like a big standout moment.
At least he got that moment in there. But you know what though? He's in his book, he's under no illusion what the WWE are and what he has to do in order to play the game. And at the time, like, he was newly married, he was starting to have time for his family, so he knew he needed the consistent money. Otherwise, if Brie wasn't in the picture, I think he would have, when he got sacked for the first time, I think he would have just packed his bags and just gone on the indie circuit, which he did essentially, but then he would never have came back.
And that whole like WrestleMania thing, like, it was kind of transparent because basically they were like replacing like the Chris Benoit story where he had like the triple threat match and sort of like, Eddie came down. It was sort of like replacing that moment. So you could be like, oh, Bryan Daniel had this like amazing triple threat victory. It was a bit transparent, but it was kind of also giving the fans what they want because everyone had been wanting Bryan to do great for years and years and years.
And what I love about him as well, anytime he was in the ring, he made someone look good. Yeah. He never like even made the Miz look like $1 million, which again, bless him, he is like say his heart's in the right place, but he's not a main eventer, and he got the Miz to a level which he'll never get to again, I think, in my opinion.
I agree. The match between the Miz, Maurice, and Nick and Brie and him I thought was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. And,
it was great.
And Brie, I think Brie really needed it because she wasn't going through the best time. Her wrestling skills, she knew, were not on level as what they could have been. And I don't know if it was before or after she hurt Liv Morgan in the ring doing the yes kicks. That was awful. That was horrible. That was uncomfortable to watch because I know fine well that like I don't think that was intentional. She smacked her right in the face. Like,
she'd done it horrible. She'd done it a few times. Like, it wasn't just one kick.
She knocked her cold out. Like, she knocked that girl cold out. But I really enjoyed that match with the four of them. I thought it was just something fun, and it was just nice because fine well they're all really good friends. Like Maurice and Brie are incredibly like close. But I like the chemistry. I think they bounced off each other really well. There you go.
Cool.
That's mine.
So
we've all gone really quiet.
No, it's fine. Just waiting to see if there's any rebuttals. But so that was Jake's second pick. We've already had 2 picks from Martin because unfortunately he had the same pick as me as Bret the Hitman Hart.
Martin, it happened to me when Jake was last on.
I'm glad you're keeping track, though.
Yes. Like I say, the only thing I'm good at. So that's it's mine. It's mine. Yes, it's mine. So again, I'm going to pick my first tag team, my only tag team in this pick. I'll do an impression. It'll not be a good impression, but these were absolutely what I thought we should. You twat. Yes, Hawk and Animals, Legion of Doom. That pack, that outfit, and the whole biker attitude, this was amazing. You never thought they would be defeated. Even though, like say, I've never been so angry in my life when I think it was during the 3rd stint they came back and they kept on losing to the New Age Outlaws, Billy Gunn and Road Dogg. How the fuck can the Legion of Doom lose to fucking Mr. Ass and some roadie? It was the biggest bullshit I've ever seen in a wrestling ring, but I fucking loved it.
Tell us how you
feel. Do you remember when Heidenreich joined?
Oh, that was the embarrassing times. That was when during Hawk was having his bad times, bless him, when he was showing up and couldn't wrestle. But again, that's when they were trying to muscle him out and give Animal a different type of partner. Because I didn't do it with Droz as well.
They tried Droz.
Legion of Doom 2000,
they tried Droz.
Yeah, but their early 90s matches, like even if they were fighting like the Nasty Boys or the Bushwhackers and stuff like that, it was always entertaining with the Legion of Doom. And again, it was more to do with the promos, more to do with, like, say, the entrance to the ring. And they had one of the most devastating finishing moves that you've ever seen, the Doomsday Device. How they didn't fucking kill people, that was just absolutely mental. You could not do that safely, even if you tried.
I mean, from what I've heard, people didn't like wrestling the Legion of Doom because it was just them throwing potatoes all day long. Hurting people, they
weren't soft, cuddly type of wrestling moves type thing. I think what was it? The Acolytes, JBL and Ron Simmons, they actually modelled their wrestling style initially after the Legion of Doom, just because they're going to be that brutal. We're going to take it to that level.
Yeah.
What a unused, underrated tag team the Acolytes were. How they didn't get to the heights that they should have is beyond me. Because when JBL was Bradshaw, he was a monster. Like, his clothesline was brutal, and they never got the push. They were always they were a funny act in the end, like the APA. Like, it was hilarious. I really enjoyed it. But when you look at it, like, now, like, as an adult, they should have really, like, they could have pushed it so much further with them, and they never did. And then he got his bloody JBL persona.
Well, how were the Legion of Doom on, like, tag team championships? Did they win often, or were they kind of like in the same bracket where they were just like the big crazy guys who never won anything, like big?
They won titles, but they wouldn't have longer title runs. I think they were bigger in, like, other promotions. I think they had more title runs in, like, WCW or even Japan, I think. But I don't think their wrestling style, as you said, suited the WWE market because it was smash mouth, brutal, punch in the face, knock your teeth out, and most wrestlers at that time didn't want to wrestle them. And it was an absolute pleasure to, like, say, to see them. And I think it was one WrestleMania match when they actually came out in the motorcycles. And I think I said to my dad once, why do they not just keep the shoulder pads on? He went, because you would kill someone if you'd done a body slam, like, with them spikes and stuff. But intimidating as well. And I know, like, Animal went on to do other stuff. Like, he was in TNA for a while as well. I'm sure I'm sure his son's trying to be a wrestler as well. I'm not 100%, but
he never really found his footing, did he? After Legion of Doom, like, after that was done with, that gimmick, he struggled.
Yeah, but I don't think they were ever going to be good singles wrestlers. I know his brother's still in WWE as John Laurinaitis. He's Animal's brother.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He is. Yeah. I did know that. Just now that you've said it, it reminded us he is also Nikki and Bree's stepdad. Yeah, he married their mom.
But yes, Legion of Doom has to be one of my all-time favourite tag team, just because of the brutality and, like, say, as I said, the cartoon aspect. Fucking, it got you the hairs on the back of your neck as soon as you heard the growl, as soon as you heard the music. Like, as you said, with a theme music so like that get you going. That was one of the top ones for me. So again, not much to talk about, just utter brilliance.
Yeah, I would have loved them if I was a kid, but I missed out on them. But I could, like, the look is just amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alone.
Cool. So that's my second pick. So we'll move on back to Sammy.
My third pick, right? Okay, so I'm going to go with, because I'm leaving one to last, because the person means quite a lot to us. My next pick is. I never really appreciated him properly to start with. It took a long time for us to get an actual appreciation for him. And now he is one of my favorite people on the planet. He might not be everyone's cup of tea because some of his past choices have been a bit questionable, but he is the Texas Rattlesnake. He is Stone Cold Steve Austin. I fucking love this man much. Oh, hell yes. I absolutely adore this man so much. Like, I have all the time in the world for him.
So I've lost one of my picks as well now, Sam. So well done.
Oh, sorry. I'm doing it this time. Yay! It's not you, Jake. It's not you.
Yes.
Give everyone a finger.
I have got the bald head and the dodgy knees, so yes. But
there is nothing there's nothing you can't love about this man. Really, there isn't.
Yeah.
In a wrestling ring, he was anything he did from that moment, because I know he was given a shitty gimmick when he came in, the ringmaster. I even liked his stuff he wrestled with Savio Vega when he was just starting to find his footing.
Hollywood Blondes before that as well, though.
Oh no, but that's WCW. I was never a WCW.
I know, it's just funny.
That was with Bryan. His story with Brian Pillman was just.
Oh my god!
Did you watch The Dark Side of the Ring with Brian Pillman's story? And they talked about like, holy shit! Like I remember that time. And I was like, it scared us quite a bit. Like Brian Pillman was a terrifying person.
The loose cannon,
Yeah, definitely was. But I never fully appreciated Austin in that time. I hated when he used to wrestle The Rock. I found him bored. Like that side of him and The Rock just bored us. But my favorite. So I had two favorite pay-per-views. One of them was Backlash. The next one is to do with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Anyone remember St. Valentine's Day Massacre, 1999?
Yeah.
It was a Hell in the Cell. No, it wasn't. It was a cage match between Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve. One of the best rivalries that had ever been through wrestling. It was Stone Cold versus Vince McMahon, and it was the debut of Paul White. And he came out from underneath the ring. He split the ring. He comes out.
Yeah.
And he chucks Austin about the ring, and he opens up one side of it, and Austin puts his feet on the ground and is crowned the winner. I fucking live for that moment. I absolutely loved every second the fact that Vince thought he had a card up his sleeve with Paul coming out, and then just chucks him out the ring, and he wins.
I absolutely the thing I was obsessed with so much about Austin was the Austin head shake. I don't know why. Just like in the early Austin days before he broke his neck, bless him. When he was like getting arguments, his head was just always running about, shaking around like this. It couldn't make any sense, but it just was captivating to watch. And I know as a wrestler, when he had the accident with Owen Hart, breaking his neck, he never had the move set or then, but he changed it up to a way where he made it more smash mouth, because I think Austin doesn't get as much credit as he deserves. Pre-broken neck, some of the wrestling matches and some of the technical ability wrestling matches was some of the best I'd seen in a long time. That's why he was given the name as ringmaster initially, because as a technician, he could handle the best ones. And that's what I'm saying with the match with him and Bret Hart, and that period with Bret Hart where Bret Hart made Austin the star he was. And that match where he split Austin's head open and you see him in the sharpshooter and blood pouring out, that to me as a child was mesmerizing. And like as Sammy said, as a promo all round, no one could touch. I don't think again anyone has made as much money as Austin has in wrestling just by wrestling. Everything he touched turned to gold. He fucking got a catch rate out of what time is it?
Yeah.
What? I absolutely hated that time.
Apparently Christian invented that technically.
Christian did invent that. Me and my husband had this argument the other day because I was
voicemail or something.
Yeah, and it was Christian who did it first, and then Stone Cold took it. Martin, I swear to God, I will come through the screen.
I guess.
Fucking hate it.
But some of the most hilarious moments with Austin, him and Kurt Angle, when they were trying to impress Vince McMahon, and they're like, "Here's your little hat, big hat," and they're singing songs and stuff. Oh,
what was the song that was singing? And I don't care, Jimmy crack on, and I don't care. Yes, I remember
Olympic
that.
gold.
The supermarket fight with Booker T.
Oh yes, that was amazing.
Or even smashing Vince McMahon over with an actual bedpan.
That's actually my number one Austin moment, because he poses as the doctor and he sends the nurse out, and then Vince is like asking him a question, then he turns around. He's got the little hat on and the face mask. And that bedpan shot was definitely real. You can hear it.
Oh, and like I say, there was other things as well. Trying to think. Austin, when he was like dressed up as a cameraman and like pretending to get Vince and stuff like that.
And he would always drive weird things.
The beer truck.
Oh, the beer truck.
The Zamboni.
Yeah.
The blowing up the
so
DX
many,
Express was impressive.
Yes, so many iconic moments as well. Just have something falling off now. But yeah, just like the skull, and like I said, even the theme tune as well. As soon as you heard the grass break, you were like, right, in for a show. It's going on.
But even the Disturbed version was great.
The what? Oh yeah, that was really cool. The Disturbed version, but GR screaming at the top of his lungs until like he's about to like pop a lung.
Stone Cold.
The rattlesnake.
Oh my god! Well, WrestleMania 18 WrestleMania 19. Sorry, when he was like, 17, where he's like, oh my god, how could you Stone Cold? And he turns on The Rock. That brought my heart.
Yeah.
When he's twatting The Rock with a steel chair, I was like, my heart broke.
I was like on the side of Rock and Stone Cold. I was always a Stone Cold kid.
No, I was a Rock.
When he was hitting him with the chair, I was like, yes, this is smart. It's a no DQ match. Why would you stop hitting him with the
power trip was a good
until you get the pin?
It was a shame Triple H got injured because the power trip was a good tag team.
Yeah. Oh no, I quite like that. But one of my favorite Austin moments, and again, it was during an angle that WWE completely botched, was during the WCW takeover, and you see Austin's in the bar, in the bar, and he's watching WWE at the time getting their asses kicked, and he's like sitting there with a pool table, and he just starts smashing things up and getting angry, and he gets in his car, and jumps out, smacks two middle of the card WC wrestlers all over, then keeps walking through the building, and funny enough, they've got cameras on everywhere like Austin is, and he's beating the shit out of these WCW wrestlers, and he's walking down the ring, and all of WCW and ECW head towards him, and he just beats the shit out of them by himself. Like I say, I remember being on the top of my sofa, like jumping him down, going, yes, fucking kill him.
Yeah, is that when he like basically comes out with the chair and just like levels everyone basically?
It's like a pool cue, I think it was.
Austin has what my favorite moment's always going to be Backlash, when he came out at the end of the match between Triple H and The Rock, when The Rock was basically getting screwed left, right, and center. That was the night before. He did that on the SmackDown before, but this was actual Backlash. He comes down. The Rock's getting screwed left, right. They've got Jerry Briscoe and Pat Patterson being referees, forcing a 3. Oh my gosh, yeah, forcing a 3 count. And then all of a sudden, that music just kicks in, just out of nowhere, because it was anticipated all night. You just didn't know when it was going to happen, and then all of a sudden, he's breaking glass happens. He comes down with a chair, levels everybody who runs up towards him. And then I think he even gets in Stephanie's face as well. I'm sure he pushes Stephanie to one side.
He probably stunned her. He stunned everyone.
And he just gets in the ring and just
he definitely stunned Deborah.
Oh, let's not go there.
There's a dark side to everybody, apparently.
There is, yes. Naughty. Like I said, he's a bit questionable sometimes, but the man outside the ring, I generally have a lot of time for as well. Like anything Austin does, I will.
Sessions.
Yeah.
I will be on board with it. When he did Tough Enough, and he got in she went on to be one of the divas. Cameron. When he got in her face and said, "What's your favorite wrestling match?" and she said Alicia Fox.
Fox and Melina.
He decked it. He absolutely decked himself. He went, "What the fuck?" Really?
I loved it last year when Becky Lynch gave him a stunner. She was drinking beer with him, and she gave him a stunner. Like, he allowed it. Yeah.
Oh, bless him. No, it's good choice. Yes. I want to do something. No problem. I'm just going to do something now before I forget, because Donna's been begging us all day to do it. I'm going to show myself up here, so it's going to be interesting. So I think I'm cute. I got gold medals. I got the moves that make them all tap out. The angle Sam, ankle lock, Marty Jannetty still can't walk. I'm just a sexy Kurt. Sexy Kurt.
Sexy Kurt.
I'll make your ankle hurt. Ankle hurt. I'm just a sexy Kurt. Yes, I've got him built, unfortunately. But yeah, but that's for you, Donna. So I didn't have the balls to do it there. So yes.
Right. So Jake, this is your fourth?
Third.
Sorry, we're on 3.
Yes.
Sorry. But yeah, I'm gonna jump in the old AEW swimming pool again. With the Young Bucks, the kings of the super kick party.
I'm not a fan. I'll be quick because I'm not a fan.
Nice. As in you don't like them or you don't care.
I just don't think they're that good. I don't think they're as good as I said. Again, I'm going to sound like a complete old-fashioned twat here. They just basically fly about, bounce around, do as many finishing moves as possible, but then still kick out. To me, it's not really.
You do sound like an old twat.
They're exposing the business, and they'll tell you themselves that they're doing it.
Yeah.
I did not know who these were until a few weeks ago.
That's fine.
Never heard of them.
They've been on fire recently, so it's probably the best time to pick up. But yeah, a couple of years back when I got real bored of WWE, probably around the time of that women's Money in the Bank bullshit, I started watching New Japan Pro Wrestling because they've got an app. And Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks were doing their Bullet Club thing over there, where it's the evil American wrestlers and stuff. So that was the first time I'd seen them. But yeah, as Paul says, the kind of do the wrestling moves that you would do with action figures when you were a kid, but in real life, and even stupider. But yeah, I guess that's the thing. It's they bring that side of wrestling that's really stupid and fun that you normally only see in the indies, where it's more of I hesitate to say that kid show, but it's more like a comedy style of match. But they can obviously go as well as anybody else. But yeah, I just love how the characters are just the most annoying people in the entire world, and the dress to reflect that at the moment. But yeah, just everything.
I feel I would like them.
Oh yeah, if you keep watching AEW, you'll see plenty. But
I think my problem was with them. They'll get they'll be hit with a double power bomb off the top rope and suddenly kick out. It's wait there, that should have fucking killed you. And then jump up and perform a super kick and suddenly pin the opponent and the win. It's wait there, that doesn't make no fucking sense. But again, I can understand.
But yeah, sorry, Martin, what'd you say?
Sammy would have loved to retire last week.
Oh, also they had one of the best matches of the year, probably just a couple of weeks ago, maybe last month at the last AEW pay-per-view, where it was them and the Lucha Brothers in in a cage match.
Yeah.
And he even brought out a shoe that had thumbtacks on, because they like to get inventive with the weapons as well. Young Bucks. Young Bucks are actually the ones who I'm pretty sure pioneered the putting Lego out instead of thumbtacks and doing moves on top of a pile of Lego.
that would hurt more.
Exactly.
Ouch.
Yeah, they're just a lot of fun. They're on fire right now. AEW's pay-per-view is actually tomorrow night. So
is that Bryan Danielson's fighting, isn't he?
Yeah, but so
Eddie Kingston,
if anyone wants to jump in on the AEW train, it's probably a really good time right about now.
Yeah, they dressed as Ghostbusters
I think I'm going to watch them.
Sammy.
They did. I saw. I think I'm going to. I definitely want to watch Bryan wrestle. I just couldn't remember when it was on. Oh no, I can't watch it tomorrow because I have plans tomorrow night.
I always watch them the next day. I don't stay up for wrestling anymore. That's a young man's game.
It is, isn't it?
See, now who's the old fart?
Yeah, that's my pick. The business exposing little bastards.
No, they're a great team.
If I was probably 10 years younger, I probably would enjoy them, but I'm more old school. That's probably me showing you the age there. So Sammy picked my third pick. So now we're back to Martin for his third.
Martin, third.
Well, my third pick. Are we on fourth as well? Because my third pick was Daniel Bryan.
Oh no! So you're missing another pick. So we're back to Sammy now. Oh.
I tell you what, don't pick. Oh God!
I tell you what though. What we'll do, we'll have a little break from picks. Martin had a good shout before we started. what's your favourite entrance music, your favourite theme music for a wrestler? What were you, Martin?
Even though I love My Time, I do love No One Will Survive by Tommaso Ciampa. No More Words as well by for Jeff Hardy's amazing. But it used to be a ringtone on my phone, and it's going to go back to it at one point. It's Still the Game by Motorhead. That's my favourite of all time. Just the adrenaline, like when I'm working out and things like that. It's just amazing. Those chords and everything. It still hits home. Yeah. You know, it's an amazing theme. And then when he stops to spit the water as well, it's just,
He's a proper showman. Like, his entrances were amazing, and his music just accompanied him perfectly. Mine's always going to be Chris Jericho, The Walls of Jericho. Especially when it was the Y2K, and he had the countdown, and then it went silent, and then boom, and
Raw is Jericho,
Raw is Jericho. Love it.
Break the walls down. Yes. Jake, what was yours?
My music pick's actually Jake the Snake Bit. It's just an amazing track. It's like very 80s and stuff, but it's kind of like sinister, but also kind of like weirdly hopeful. It's just, I don't know, it's just cool. It's got a good vibe.
I always liked Mankind's, because how it started off like quite chaotic and creepy at the start, and then
you mean you mean the original one, like
the original one?
His other one.
Which one? The sinister, the car crash.
Oh no, that was when he started getting like the cross between like the shirt and stuff. This was original Mankind, where he came out with
Mankind,
because he had two music. He had a one he used to come out with that was quite eerie, and then there was like when he won, it was like almost like childlike and playful. So it was like showing the different aspects of the character that hadn't been done before in the wrestling. I know later on I did love the Mankind one. Dun-dun-dun.
Whenever you hear that car crash, at first you don't know whether it's going to be Razor Ramon or Mankind.
But yes, that was always, like I say, I always found the more interesting, like psychologically ones, that thing. But like I say, that one was always one of my favorites. I still love Eddie Guerrero's as well, Latino Hayes. That was always quite.
I love it, but I also love the one where he was with China.
Viva La Rasta when he was with China.
Viva La
Rasta. Chavo.
Did you ever see Vicky Guerrero when she finally left and she got
she won the mud match?
Yeah.
But she didn't win the mud match because she had to leave.
She lost it.
But she lost it, but she won because she got Stephanie in there. And when I feel so sorry for her because she's got all this shite in her eyes and she's trying to honor Eddie because his music comes on and she's like trying to sing at the same time. I'm like, oh, poor Vicky, like they could have at least let her wash her face and like be able to then honor Eddie as she's leaving the ring.
And then she did the little kind of Eddie shuffle.
Yeah, she did the shuffle. But I just felt so sorry for her because she couldn't see anything. I was like, oh, bless her. She had all this goop in her eyes.
It's classic WWE, isn't it? Like, they'll never let you go nicely.
No, you might be leaving us, but we're taking your fucking dignity. So, yes.
Well, they did bully her, let's be honest. Because they did not bully her.
Yeah.
What they did to that girl was absolutely horrendous.
Cool. So back to Sammy for her fourth pick now. Moving on to slightly less. Yes, are we coming at you live?
Well, mine fits in lovely with my music theme because I'm going with the Ayatollah of rock and roll, Chris fucking Jericho. Honestly, the man is an absolute god.
Drank with him on stage, he's a legend.
Well, fuck off, Martin.
I've seen Fozzy a couple of times.
Big Beatles. Yeah, Fozzy are amazing live, aren't they? And he loves the Beatles as well.
I think for a person...
We'll not hold that against him.
Yeah, for a person to wrestle as long as he has and go through all the different elements and changes and still be as relevant as he is now is absolutely unbelievable. I don't think anyone could have done it or... I know when he first started out, they thought he didn't have the talent or the it factor in WCW, and to show what he can do is a testament to the character he has.
Absolutely. But when you talk about knowing your worth, Chris knows his worth. Chris knows exactly how much he is worth. He has never been scared of Vince. Whenever he's tried to do new things, he will go ahead and do them. If they don't work, they don't work. But Chris knows what he is worth to this industry because of how fucking hard he works. I love his podcast. I love his brutal honesty, especially when he talks about the Shawn Michael era, when he is responsible for Shawn's eye. Yeah. The reason Shawn's eye looks the other way is because of Chris Jericho slapping it that way. Yep. Very honest about that. He's very honest about the industry. There's no smoke and mirrors with him. He tells you exactly how it is. The way that he handled Chris Benoit was probably the most dignified way that it was done, because what did they had an interview with Larry King, Bret Hart, John Cena, fucking corporate little slag that he is, and Chris Jericho, and John Cena just being, the voice of Vince and just saying, everything that the WWE wanted you to say was coming through Cena. And it's not the first time he's done that before. And he did it here. And Chris Jericho was like, hang on a minute. Like, nobody ever saw this coming. That's not the person that we knew. That's not the person that we're on the road with. This is who he was. He described him perfectly and said, and then we find out this. And Chris was just so dignified to the family. And especially when you see the dark side of the ring, how dignified he is to them. It was such an amazing episode to really give you a background on that story and also Chris's personal experience with it. I have so much time for him. He is such a genuine, funny person. He's so great. He
still keeps in touch with all the family members of Chris Benoit as well. Like, say, he tries to help them as much.
Yeah, exactly. Because do you know what? They still exist. For all WWE don't want you to think that. They still exist. They're still out there. There's still a lot of pain behind it.
And you can't not love him as well, because he loves a little bit of the bubbly.
I have to like say, he can get anything over as well. He got a fucking scarf over. He got the list over. Absolutely breathtaking.
You're going on the list.
Jacket, that waistcoat as well in 2005 was a bit.
I would have wore it. I still would have wore it. But I think with Chris Jericho as well, my favorite, like I loved all he said. I love these elements he had with The Rock, with Austin, but his time with Kevin Owens was just perfect. That was just brilliant, and the way they ended that as well. Yeah, when he reads it and says, "Wait, I'm on the list." I dare anyone not to shed a tear at that. What was it? The thingy of friendship or something. I can't remember now. But
Festival of Friendship.
Festival of Friendship, because Kevin Owens, like say, is still one of he is going to be one of the all-time greats. He's just getting better. But the way he started off with Chris Jericho, that was just amazing, because he was quite straight and didn't have a comedic side, and Jericho brought that side of us out of him, not to be ashamed or not to worry about showing yourself up and stuff like that. And for every time he's always been relevant. He's always done something. And I know at the time when he was pissed off when WWE basically didn't see him as the top star as he's shown he still is. So he went, right, fuck it, I'm going to leave, go to New Japan. He didn't go to a second-rate place. I know, again, I'm not trying to badmouth it, but he didn't go to TNA, which would have loved to have him, which again wouldn't have been too great for Jericho. That would have been a downward step.
Yeah, it wouldn't have pushed him.
Yeah, with New Japan, he reinvented himself, brought himself out level, and then helped launch. Well, to be fair, we wouldn't have AEW if it wasn't for Chris Jericho, the way he came across and helped promote it as well. Because as big as Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Cody Rhodes think they are, they're not Chris Jericho level.
No,
to be honest, I don't think I would have checked out New Japan without knowing Jericho was going to be there, because I think I was listening to his podcast at the time. So he was getting a lot of those guys on for interviews and just talking about stuff, and it's so I'll check out New Japan. They've got an app. I'll do it.
Chris is so good at talking as well, just in general, not just in the ring, but just in general. He's such a good talker. Just before we move on to your next Jake's next pick. The funniest story I ever heard was he was on the Nerdist podcast. He's been on a couple of times, but his first episode was hilarious. And he talked about when he got his heart broken by wrestling, and it was when he was a kid, and he was the Samoan tag team. Help us out.
Head Shrinkers.
The Head Shrinkers or the
Wild
Wild
Samoans.
The Wild Samoans, and he was an absolute huge fan of the Wild Samoans, and he would follow them everywhere, and he finally built up the courage to go and talk to them, and he was like, he understood that they didn't speak English, so he was like trying to learn how to talk to them, and he built this all up, and he kind of like goes running over to them, and he's like trying to say, can you sign my autograph, and like, I know you can't speak English and that, and they just look at him and go, fuck off, kid. And his heart was broken. They could speak English. They could speak English. They knew the fact that he told them to fuck off was nothing. It was the fact that they could speak English.
Betrayal.
Yes, it was. And he says that's when wrestling, like the smoke and mirrors were gone. Was that day. But he's so intelligent. I love him. Could not have a list and not have Chris Jericho on there.
Yeah, I don't like his finishing move at the moment. The Judas Kiss, the back elbow is a bit shit.
It's like that one John Cena did.
Yeah, go back to.
It's because his legs hurt. He can't do the code breaker anymore.
He's an old man.
No. Well, to be fair, the code breaker, I was thinking his best one has always been the line tamer. Like you say, the
line tamer was always my favorite.
That was one of the, like you say, the better ones. Go back to the submission, Jericho, especially
when he was in New Japan. Sorry, he actually did like the real lion tamer, because that's like Lionheart's finisher. It was like Chris Jericho was like the walls, but with the knee in the back and stuff. I popped big when he did that. It was like, he's actually doing it the real way.
He's going back. But yes, like I say, he's not on my list. He isn't. He would have been in my top 10, but he's not in my top 5, unfortunately.
Honestly, if we could have done a top 10 and been a totally different, I would have had hundreds. But I actually knocked the Hardy Boys off the Jericho, because I absolutely adore the man so much. But there you go. There's my 4th pick.
Cool. Jacob.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. I got to go Kenny Omega for my next one.
All right.
Again,
straight in there.
Yeah,
no introduction, just straight in.
Something I picked up while I was watching like New Japan. I'd obviously heard he was like amazing, but just like he actually like lives up to like most people's stories about how good he is, which is nuts. And you mentioned the whole wrestler mop thing, which he did actually do at some point, like as a joke. He did a good match out of a mop. Or it might have been a blow-up doll, but it was
and that's how he got the nickname the Cleaner,
yeah.
Jim Cornette will be spinning knowing this pick. He'll be not out.
Yes. I'm very much Jim Cornette's enemy. But it's just like, for me, like the big thing is like he's obviously like he's got an amazing look. He's like an excellent talker as well. He learned Japanese so he could do promos in New Japan. So like a super intelligent guy. And it was just like
old school gamer.
The moves he does as well. He's kind of like a hybrid between like a big guy and a high flyer, which is
you've just made Donna pop as well. Donna's going woo Kenny for you there, so Donna's agreeing with you there, Jake.
Oh yeah, he's a beautiful man as well. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, like he's just like that. His finisher as well, the One Winged Angel, which is a Final Fantasy reference in itself, is just like nuts. It's like how did he invent a move in like in this day and age when everything's been done? But he's like a huge like video game nerd. He names half his moves of like a sort of video game references and stuff like
awesome.
that.
I know he always challenges the new day to like say, because I know they've got the channel. They always try and get like say games against each other.
He's a big Street Fighter guy because his knee's called the V trigger, which is like a Street Fighter 5 deep cut reference.
And one of the AEW games as well is going to be a No Mercy style game because he's a big fan of it. Sorry, you were saying, Sammy.
And he does a good Terminator reference as well, Kenny, when he does this thing and the crowd all goes dun 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 dun, and he does a big swanton bomb to the outside, which is amazing.
Didn't he do it when he was in New Japan? Didn't his entrance used to be the Terminator at one point?
Yeah, he's definitely got the jacket. Yeah, and the half eye thing.
Yeah, I remember that one. But again, a little bit like the Young Bucks, I think his matches are brilliant, but some of the things, as I said, they do in the matches and they kick out of them, it's like, to be, again, it's my old ways. It's like when a match pull off a move that should be finishing a match, it should keep that realism. Because again, I know we all like seeing these things, and we know they are to a degree not staged. Well, the ending, we know the ending thing, all the moves and everything is to a degree predetermined. That's what I was trying to say. I would never say it's fake, because Jesus Christ, I could never fake some of the stuff they do. They are pure athletes, and but I think, to me, that's why I like the Austin, the Rocks and stuff, because when they hit the big finisher, if they kicked out of one, it was a big surprise. It was on a big event. They kick out of big moves on every match. So that's why it kind of brings it down a level for me. But again, I totally get why people love it. I think he's amazing. I don't think he would be as big in WWE, because I don't think he could wrestle WWE style. That would tone him down. So he wouldn't have as much of impact.
I mean, he's like great. He's a great promo guy as well. Like, yeah, you're right. It's because he normally ends up in those like 60-minute end of the night matches where like you've got to kick out of finishes because you've got like 60 minutes to fill and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't know who you were talking about. I had to go and Google him, and then when I realized who it was, that's when I said, "Oh." And Man thought I was ready to talk. Man thought I was ready to talk, and I'm like, nope, just realized who it is.
Just Google
just
You just made Donna's list.
Yeah, he's gonna be in the he's gonna be in the championship match on tomorrow or whatever, on the 13th.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I will see his style then. I am excited for AEW. I just gotta stop being lazy and go and watch it maybe.
Also,
but I'm looking forward to
it's a weird thing to like bring up, but he's one of the only like out bisexual wrestlers like currently.
Really?
And we haven't really talked about it, but I just love how gay wrestling is in general. It's just so silly. And I love how it's being embraced more these days. Like, it's less of like a man's club.
Like when Canyon came out,
but to be fair, but when Canyon came out, it wasn't really very positive for him as well. So that's the sad aspect to it. But again, we hopefully have moved ahead with the times.
That's what we've moved past. We've moved past the way that Canyon was. See that when you watch a Dark Side of the Ring about Canyon's story, I mean, John Cena pisses me off on a regular basis anyway, but he really knocked me on there, especially with how he drug him under the bus. Like, well, he only came out after the fact, and it's like, John, did you really have to say that?
Yeah.
Really? Like, kick the man when he's down, you dick. Anyways, sorry, John Cena rant.
The anti-Cena podcast. I'm fine with that.
I have a love-hate relationship between Cena. I really do. Sometimes I absolutely love the man, and then the rest of the time I'm like, you really are just a corporate sleaze. You really, you are awful.
He cheated on his first wife as well, and to
be fair, I know you're going to say that point, but how many wrestlers did that? That was. I think most wrestlers had about 3 wives.
Yeah, I think everyone on the list, and maybe not, but most people on the list so far.
I mean,
everyone had a sunny day. Everyone had a sunny day.
Don't hate me, Sammy. Yeah, I used to be a Cena fan. I used to have all these T-shirts. I've met the guy a few times, but I went off him because he just became stale. It was the same colourful T-shirts. It was the fact that he was, he got this shovel from Triple H, and Roman Reigns has now got that shovel, and it's just like. He was amazing in the Suicide Squad, and I'm really looking forward to the Peacemaker. But
that's where he should be now. He should be in Hollywood, but I think there's a lot of careers. I think there's a lot of careers that could have been if Cena hadn't been involved as well. But
Rock opened the door. He slagged off the Rock, and then he's eating humble pie, and he's apologized to the Rock, and
But yes, so yes. So before we turn into the anti-Cena podcast, we'll move on nicely to Martin's now. The fourth pick for Martin.
Well, no, it's not one you've already chosen. Otherwise, it's Sammy. Paul's mentioned the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. But my fourth pick is the best in the world.
Oh.
He might not be the guy he was, but
Yeah.
in his prime, in Ring of Honor,
Say the name.
and in WWE, CM Punk was incredible. Like, CM Punk is going to go down in history as one of the greatest of all time. I don't care. You know, he might have an attitude out of the ring, but the guy is incredible. Like,
Martin, I generally had no idea who you were talking about when you introduced him. I really
You
didn't.
went like that, to be fair.
I don't. I'm sorry.
Chris Jericho also says he's the
build-up.
best in the world, and what he has no idea. But
yes,
I like
promos.
CM
Punk's like that pipe bomb will go down as the best
mate.
promo ever in like
Even
say full
AJ's
stop.
against the Bellas as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Like say when he just sat down and laid it online just because he didn't have a fucking ice cream.
Hi, Vince. Yeah.
it was like the closest, like they got back to Austin after years and years of trying. Like that almost got there again.
It was when, like say, had that interesting storylines with Punk as well, where he went away with the title, brought it back, and again, this was a guy that Triple H, being the lovely man himself, tried to put down as not being big enough, not being good enough, not having the it factor. I know it was these matches with Jeff Hardy that put him over to get into the level where the WWE thought this is going to be the guy, and any shit thing you put him in, he was always the best thing in it. Like when he done the whole Nexus thing, the Nexus was terrible, but he was interested in it. When he was doing the whole, was it the
Straight Edge Society?
Straight Society with
Serena
with Gallows
Deeb and Gallows, yeah.
Of course, that was like say on fire, but then for some reason they split them up. But then everything he does until now, which again a lot of people are saying he was great. I'm still waiting for that moment when CM Punk arrives in the AEW because he's not had that, like these matches I've watched, because like say when he first turned up, the first promo was great, but it wasn't well, no, I wouldn't say that mind blown. It was great, but when you CM Punk, you expect it to be better, and he's not been.
He got his ice cream bars.
Yeah, he won an ice cream bar.
I think he might have been a bit overwhelmed, to be honest. Like you
There
could
was a
see
lot.
it in his face that he was a bit sort of like surprised.
Because you just don't know, do you? Like, how many times has he had his name chanted throughout the rings when he's been gone? You still got that doubt of like, are they actually going to give a shit? Did they watch UFC? Are they really going to like? Do you know what I mean? Like, he's obviously going to have that doubt. And when he came out, I get emotional over genuine reaction. And he had it when he was in the ring. That was a genuine reaction of holy
when
shit,
Cult of Personality hits. Like Cult of Personality is the new Glass Shatters. Like it's the modern day Austin. Because they had that kind of thing, didn't they? Years ago, they had that fantasy thing of Austin versus Stone Cold, Austin versus CM Punk, Straight Edge versus the alcohol.
I think that was always been CM Punk trying to force that, because that would have cemented his legacy if he did get a match with Austin. Like, going back to Sam's first pick, the thing that cemented The Rock, the icon, was The Rock versus Hogan in that WrestleMania, and having that moment where the crowd goes Rocky, Hogan, and they just stand there for about they stand for about 5 minutes, just staring at each other, staring at the crowd, and seeing the whole movement. That cemented The Rock as legendary, as iconic.
And Money in the Bank 2011.
But that's what Punk was looking for. He's been looking for that moment that cements his. He couldn't have it with Cena because Cena's not to that level. But with that Hardy, the matches were great. But again, as good as Jeff is, his demons and stuff will never get him to the legendary status. Sorry, that's just my opinion.
No, I fully agree with you on that one.
But that's why Punk needed an Austin, and he's not going to get that type of aspect, because there's no outside of, say, Brock Lesnar, again, just being the beast. There's nobody that's at iconic level now in wrestling, in my view, and it's going to be hard for anyone to get to, like, say, that status anymore.
I get what you mean, Paul. That's a really good way of looking at it. Like CM Punk's got he's not going to have that moment, but it doesn't mean that his next part of his career in AEW isn't going to be what really does bring him back to. Because can we really I don't really remember a lot of CM Punk from WWE. He's been gone so long.
Yeah, you've got to get him matched up with Bryan Danielson as soon as possible.
Yes,
get them matches. That's going to showcase. And again, I know they want to do Bryan versus Kenny Omega. Fair enough, but to me, the way to make money is Punk versus Bryan. That's going to be where AEW will.
But who's going to go over who?
I don't care.
I think Bryan will put him over.
Yeah, or go for the big dog, Jericho. Jericho needs Punk.
When you said big dog, I was like, oh god.
Yeah, it's interesting. I am a little worried that Eddie Kingston's going to hurt Punk tomorrow. Cause Eddie Kingston.
Just because of his track record.
Well, yeah.
No, just because he's a badass. He just doesn't take any shit.
He looks terrifying, especially.
He's like the modern day New Jack, isn't it?
Yeah. But the thing is, though, because as in a promo, Eddie Kingston schooled Punk. Just last episode, which
it was really intense. I was not ready for it, but it was amazing.
So yes, but again, I know we're just saying Punk come back, but that would be my thing. He needs his iconic moment, if that means sense, to cement him to be the greatest in the world.
Do you think he'll still have it though?
I don't see why not. He just, like I say, getting out the rust, but he needs someone to bring it out, and I think Bryan can do it.
Yeah, if anyone can. And they'll have the dueling, yes, CM Punk chant thing going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then get rid of, Jericho getting by himself, get rid of all of his jabronis that just weigh him down a little bit. Even though it was fun to see him with the group, but get Jericho against Punk maybe at the biggest event. Because I say again, I know they'll probably try and get Jon Moxley when he's back. I don't think Moxley is the type of match that Punk needs. I don't think it would work as well. But Jericho,
it'd be more of a street fight. It'd be more of a kind of it wouldn't be a kind of straight match between them.
Certainly, but yes, I like that pick, CM Punk. I know again, if he stayed in wrestling, didn't have his little bit of, well, again, it's like I say, I know it's been difficult, but knowing his worth, he shouldn't have went to the UFC. That was a bit of embarrassment for him. But again, it's probably taken a little bit.
I played him for trying, yeah.
It might have kept him in better shape than he might have been. So maybe it'll be good in the future.
Potentially, but I think it might have took away of his badassness. Now he's back in WWE. He's going to be this UFC flop guy is now wrestling. But again, it's down to
can't all be good at everything.
True. So my next pick, if Martin's happy for you to move on.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Cool. So we've already mentioned him once tonight, and I love his little reference. Lie, cheat, and steal. Viva la Rasta, Eddie Guerrero.
Mamacita.
Oh no, don't bring up that angle. He was horrible to China.
He was, but that starting point of that there with them two was magic. Loved it. Loved it.
Like I say, every little thing he did, even his little mannerisms, again, I wasn't a big WCW fan, but I liked him in WCW. Some of the matches he had with, the welterweights were Eddie Guerrero was stealing the show. And when him and Chris Benoit, Terry Damalenko and Perry Saturn came over as the Radicals, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And basically he broke his arm in his first move when he done his frog crash and spent 6 months
when he had the mullet.
Couldn't wrestle, but
I didn't know that.
Awful. Like I say, his finishing move, I loved it. The frog splash. Him and RVD, the masters of the craft. But just by selling and he was a little. I know in that sense, this is going to be the most bizarre reference I can make about Eddie Guerrero. He was the Deadpool of the WWE because he used to break the fourth wall so many times. He used to look at when wrestlers used to do things and things like like didn't make sense, but they used to do it because it's wrestling. He used to like have nods at the crowd, or he used to pretend to be hit by a chair, lie on the floor and say, "He's hit me." Or he used to
that was amazing. That when he would hit the floor and then like just jump back,
just jump the chair. Yeah, he was.
Do you remember when he swatted that fan as well? He pushed him.
Yes, he did. Yes,
he would always look after him. Say, everyone always said Eddie Guerrero was one of the toughest little bastards, that ever walked the world, but. I know we lost him too soon. I think we would have had some amazing matches, but he made Brock Lesnar what he is. He gave Brock Lesnar I know the Undertaker put him over and stuff like that, and like all that, but his matches with Brock Lesnar were amazing and made like Brock Lesnar realize what a wrestling match is, and as a guy his size as well, and just his attitude, like he never took it too seriously, and you could tell how much fun he was having. Like when he was in a match.
For him.
No,
it didn't feel like work for him. It just looked like he was having a blast. Eddie's like incredibly special to I think everyone.
Sasha Banks loves him,
Oh, definitely. But I'm so glad Eddie got what he got at the end of his life, that that WrestleMania moment and everything. But because the fucking storyline they did with Rey Mysterio what a load of shit that was.
Fuck off. Brad's just pointed it out as well, and I'm laughing at it. He said the whole saying, "I'm your pappy," and that T-shirt was fucking amazing.
Speaking of T-shirts, though, his Scarface T-shirt was fucking brilliant.
Yes, that was a good T-shirt, but that fucking storyline with Rey Mysterio was an absolute pile of shit. What the fuck were they thinking?
Oh, I love that. I'm your puppy.
A ladder match.
Oh, it was awful. It was just fucking terrible. So I'm so glad we got the end. But when it was announced Eddie died, and they had the Raw when they had all the wrestlers out.
Oh.
I am a very emotional person to start with, but I break down when I see big grown men cry. It breaks me so much. So watching the front row in bits,
Chavo.
and then obviously on top, he was not as bad as fucking Chris Benoit that night.
And Batista, yeah.
I heard
and the tribute video as well.
These big. Oh God, sorry. Come on.
No, sorry, you first.
No, go on.
No, that tribute video they did Here Without You by Three Doors Down as well was beautiful.
They did one with Johnny Cash's Hurt as well. That was
sorry, go on.
I think that gets used quite a lot now. Yeah. No, what I was saying is it's just these big men who were like the toughest fuck and the unbreakable, and to watch them show raw emotion, it absolutely. I still to this day cry my eyes out whenever that comes up on a wrestling like list or something, because it showed how real everything is. Like, I know we've had deaths before, and we've had moments of where they've stood on the stage and they've told the bell toll, but that one was different. That one just felt so much different and so much more personal. Like, Eddie's death is still to this day. How long ago was it?
We saw his last TV taping as well. It was his last appearance. It was in the UK on SmackDown, because he was supposed to beat Batista for the title as well the week after. And then he died that Sunday in the hotel room.
No, it was like I say, again, everything about Eddie was done with class. Like, I remember like some of his entrances, like say in the cars and stuff he used to come out in was absolutely class. And just like say
the hydraulics,
he could get anything over. Like say, just like even got Chavo Guerrero over, so fuck's sake, he done something well.
He did well. Yeah, he did really well on that front.
So that's my fourth pick. So before we move on to our last picks, I wanted to ask the question as well. Again, this is always going to be the hard question. What is your favorite match that you can remember? Like, and why?
I think I've already named mine. Mine is always going to be. Actually, no, I'll change it because I have quite a few, so I'm going to change it. And it's going to be a women's match. And it's just because of how sheer excited I was that the bitch was getting the title taken away from her. Was Lita versus Stephanie. Or it was a Raw match. It was a main event Raw match, which was very unknown for two women to take a main event Raw match at that time. It was Triple H and Kurt Angle in Stephanie's corner and Hardy Boys in Lita's, with The Rock as the guest referee. It was and still is very iconic. Stephanie even held her own in that match. She did a monkey flip, which was done professionally good. Lita got to show her side, and The Rock and Triple H and all them. They all got him, and it was just so. It was for a main event on Raw with two women. I know there's been more since. I absolutely love that match, and for Lita to walk out with the belt, loved it. There you go.
Cool. What about you, Martin?
Well, for showmanship, Rock versus Hogan won because Rock versus Hogan 2 was forgettable. But in terms of ability, TLC won with the triple threat. Yeah, with Edge and Christian versus the Hardys versus the Dudleys. Incredible.
Wait, do you mean the triangle ladder match or like the official TLC?
The official TLC where Edge speared Jeff off the ladder.
Yeah.
Wow, that was cool. I remember that.
Cool. What about you,
Jake?
Well, TLC was mine. So backup pick. For some reason, I really like. No, it's fine. For some reason, I really like Undertaker and Shawn Michaels Hell in a Cell match, like the first Hell in a Cell. It wasn't as obviously spectacular.
What? You don't like Shawn Michaels teaming up with God?
No. It obviously wasn't as spectacular as the Mankind thing, but Shawn did still go off the side into the announce table where he was like stamping on his feet.
Yeah,
I watched that match today.
Did you?
When Shawn was that kind of bloody mess and like say somehow got the win over the Undertaker as well. He always used to get the better of the Undertaker.
Well, didn't Kane come in? That's like Kane's debut, isn't it?
I believe
so. When he rips off the door,
So like, and just also like how Undertaker was just doing like his Terminator thing and just like throwing him into the cage like head first. It was like he wasn't doing a lot, but just the way he was like walking, like slowly stalking like Shawn Michaels everywhere.
I'm gonna get you.
It's a really fun match.
I think from memory wise, probably mine was Brett versus Bulldog at SummerSlam at the UK at Wembley Stadium. Just because of what it meant, and that was the time that, like say, as a Bulldog fan when I was a kid, that was the time he got the Intercontinental Championship as well. And technically, I know when they've done the interviews and they've wrote the books, Bulldog didn't even know where he was during that match. He was that high on different drugs. But Brett basically walked him through and done everything in that match. That's why I've always loved Brett and been a big Brett fan. Because when you watch back this match, and when you watch back the match is done.
And Diana Hart-Smith, Brett's sister and Bulldog's wife, was a big part of that. Yeah.
Have you checked out Bulldog's son wrestling match?
Yeah,
Harry
Boy,
is it Davey Boy Jr.? He's really good though. Like he was in New Japan for a little bit, and like it's like weird because he's got a similar build to like his dad, but he wrestles like very differently. But he was still wearing like the jeans, like 2000s Bulldog when I was watching it.
Oh dear!
Oh my God.
With the awful music
when he had the shaved head and stuff like that.
He's like, I don't care.
But yes, very cool. Like I said, that was the thing that, like I said, what got me like into become a fan more of Bret Hart at that time.
I didn't know like that he'd walked an inebriated man through a match. That's a very impressive feat.
That isn't really impressive. I might go and watch that match.
If you watch it, because supposedly Bulldog was that panicking because this is the time he was winning the match that he just started taking tablets to try and calm his nerves to the point where he had jelly legs. And
they were taking like super painkillers called like somas, I think, which is like it would like
super
knock
painkillers.
Basically, it would make a normal person just go to sleep, but like loads of the guys were addicted to them.
Certainly. Wow. Yeah, they're like Quaaludes and stuff like that. So.
The drugs that you can't get a hold of now.
Yes. So yes, that would be my pick. So moving on to our last pick of favorite wrestler. So Sammy, take it away.
If I get emotional through this, it'll be an absolute fucking shock. My last pick is. She is the most iconic figure for me in wrestling. She is the reason I know. She was power. She was strength. It wasn't just physical. It was emotional. She is the ninth Wonder of the World.
Of the world.
She is
Don't
China.
tell me that you know me. Yeah.
I fucking love this woman so much. I am gonna start crying. I really like. She is the reason I stuck around for in the like, mid, like the Attitude Era. She got a raw deal at some points. She got a major raw deal towards the end. But
I think Stephanie's the reason. Partly she's dead. I blame Stephanie a little bit.
I think she has a lot of demons. Stephanie might be one of them, but I don't think it's. I think there's much more. Yeah. I think there's much more to her than that. Like, but watching this woman win the Intercontinental Championship through a fucking housekeeping match was one, the most distasteful thing I have ever seen, but also the most iconic thing that I ever watched because she fucking won. Like, why did it have
when she gorilla pressed Ivory? Yeah, that was.
No, you're talking. Yeah. You were talking about the Jeff Jarrett match, weren't you?
I'm talking about the Jeff Jarrett match when she first. You're talking about when she won the women's championship through Ivory. I'm talking about when she won the Intercontinental Championship off Jeff Jarrett, and they did it as a housekeeping match, and it was
like a hardcore match with household items in the ring type.
Why?
Because
why did they have to do that? Yeah, exactly. But she wasn't just that. She was fucking power. She was incredible. She fucking entered the Royal Rumble like she broke down so many barriers.
You wouldn't have DX without her as well. Like she was a key figure in DX.
You wouldn't have Triple H without her.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for them two together, you wouldn't have who you have today. She got a raw deal, massive raw deal, towards the end, and even after, like when she was still alive and she was just begging for forgiveness from them. I don't understand why she needed it, because I think a lot of things happened, and again, I think with her personally, it was a very, like I say, I'm trying to think because the way it come across, like she's done interviews. She didn't have the most self-confidence, so I don't think she knew her self-worth as much as she probably she didn't, because the way that she pictures herself will always be the way that she looked when she first came into wrestling, and let's like call a spade a spade. She had very masculine features. Very masculine features, and it wasn't until she started getting surgery that she started to look I don't think she ever saw herself the way that we saw her when she started to develop and to change. But what always got me is she never got a Hall of Fame moment. It really pisses us off that she got it as DX, as part of DX, but she never got it as herself. And Triple H always said, I can't have my children go and Google her and find out what she did after wrestling. Well, sorry, mate. If they watch it, she still gets mentioned in it, so they can go and fucking do that anyway.
And plus, how many more wrestlers have done much more abhorrent things and are still in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I was gonna say
Sonny's in the Hall of Fame. She did it.
Sonny showed off the Hall of Ring in the porn, so
yeah.
His argument completely backfires, and it's despicable the way that they tried. She needed help.
Well, there was always that
she needed was help.
That backstage rumor that like her and Triple H were together, and he like left her for Stephanie like to get a leg up in the business type of thing.
And they left, that was always that did happen, to be fair.
It sounds like it happened, but no one else admitting it. I guess Triple H won't.
Yeah, I think as well, because if you're going back to what other stars did, like say Paige, has she not done some things that
it was
we wouldn't be proud of?
Yeah,
but
she took a money shot onto the NXT Women's title, which and
it was a money shot as well.
It was. Good God, no, but they used every excuse in the book they could think of to not help her, to not give her the Hall of Fame that she fucking deserved. The amount of things that woman managed to accomplish, like I didn't like the fact that she became women's champion. she had no competition. There was nobody there for her to fight up against. She was basically just showcased as this. I mean, don't get us wrong, her costumes that she wore when she was women's champion were absolutely unreal. But there was no competition there for her. It was almost a backhanded compliment to give her this title. She should have been wrestling at main event levels.
I think she would have done better in nowadays when it's taken a bit more serious with the women's division as well. But I still love to work with Chris Jericho. I think some of the best work was with Jericho. I know we mentioned it with Eddie Guerrero as well. But yes, again, one of the trailblazers for the women's division. And again, I know the closest that probably came to someone like China was probably Awesome Kong, but didn't quite live up to this, like say the mantle, shall we say.
They didn't have people for her to wrestle. They don't have anyone. Awesome Kong is an amazing fucking tech wrestler, and they didn't have anyone to go up against her, so they have to dumb her down to their level, not bring the other ones up to her level. And it was the same with China.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But yeah, look, great last pick. I'm glad it, like I say, a female did hit the list as well. So
I couldn't not. She's a massive part of mine and my sister's wrestling upbringing. She's the every time I think of the time of when I loved wrestling, she was the reason. She was not just the reason, but she was half the reason I was there.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to Jake now. So Jake, your last pick, sir.
Okay. It's kind of the opposite of China in a way.
The pressure's on now.
Okay. So this one is basically a legend of Japanese wrestling, gets the moniker the king of pro wrestling and lives up to it. It's Minoru Suzuki. He has just recently popped in AEW if anyone wants to check out some stuff, but he's just one of those guys that has like what they call the it factor, like the charisma. And he's also friggin' nuts. He's like the angry old man of wrestling. Basically, whenever he comes down to the ring, it's like pure carnage. Like, you know, cameramen be getting hit with chairs. He'll be throwing people into the audience, like loads of stuff like that. But he's like a legit MMA guy. So he wrestles like quite a technical style, like very hard hitting, lots of like elbows and stuff like that. I think he trained with like Karl Gotch, like the legendary guy who invented like pile drivers and lots of other techniques and stuff like that. But yeah, like, he's just one of those guys. He also has an amazing theme song, which has like a great crowd participation part. But yeah, like when he showed up in AEW, I actually couldn't believe it. And I got full body chills. And like, I haven't felt like that for a long time. So like, I knew it was like something special. And like, he's not the most flashiest guy. But
is he the one that's been, was one that was going to be fighting Moxley, is it? Because again, I don't know. Yeah.
He did have a few matches. I think they just brought him in because he wrestles with like some of the guys that were like feuding with Moxley. But yeah, he's very much in that sort of like street fight style when he has to be. But yeah, he's just a nuts old man. And like I say, every time his entrance music hits, it's just full body chills because I don't know, he's just got like charisma. It's like strange. I love him.
Cool. No, that's cool. It's on the list that I've never heard of as well. So again, it will be something I'll probably check out with it being your top pick as well. So,
me too.
Interesting there. Like I knew you were going to go out the box. So but that's a cool one.
But he's done weird stuff in Japan. Like he's been in like those kaiju shows. Like he's fought guys in rubber suits as himself. Right, stuff like that too. So he's got like a sense of humor. But he's dangerous in the ring. He's definitely like wrestling's crazy grandpa. I love him.
It's like hard style or something. Like, what's it called?
Like strong style, yeah. And
strong
it's like
style.
His finisher moves just like a sleeper hold into a pile driver. But it's perfect because he does the sleeper hold for a little bit and then wears them out to get in a pile driver. He's just got one of those like smartly designed finishing techniques.
It's funny enough, has anyone actually been pile drive before? Because I have. I got knocked unconscious.
Wow. So you got one of the bad pile drivers then.
Yeah.
I've been pedigreed before.
Oh well.
That's also a bad one. Yeah, we used to do backyard wrestling. I wouldn't recommend it.
No.
Has anyone ever watched that Superhuman? The guy who does the this goes out to all my juggalos and
I love that guy.
Oh, no.
Jumps on barbed wire. And...
Yeah.
So we're not going to set up the Nerdy Up North backyard wrestling alliance type thing.
No,
I mean, we
they
could,
always told us
but-
not to try this at home.
We could, but my
Yes.
role is like the awful manager who has giant men behind him. that Always
It's
save
Jimmy
me.
Hart. You've got the hair.
Oh!
Yeah.
Shots fired.
Megaphone.
Well, Grant always
Jimmy
calls
Hart
me
was a legend.
mouth of the north anyway. So
Hey.
yeah.
What you like? It's quiet as a mouse.
It's because I comment lots though on the Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, well.
Cool. So good last pick there. So Martin, moving on to yours.
I know you're probably going to disagree, and he's probably playing it a little bit safe, but I've loved the guy for a long time, even when he was Tyler Black. But I'm big fan of the Beast Slayer, the King Slayer, the Monday Night Messiah, and the SmackDown Savior, Seth Rollins.
So Sam's nemesis, that which was slagging
Yeah,
off
you-
before. No
you
wonder
kept-
you went quiet.
Kept the controversial one till last.
Don't get us wrong. I watched one of his matches with Neville, and honestly, the technical ability and with them two was absolutely unreal. I just know that he can be he can get carried away with himself, and little niggly bits little mistakes can happen that can cause fucking career-ending.
No, but his match against Edge at Crown Jewel was excellent recently. Definitely worth watching if you get the chance.
No, I liked when the Shield came out. He was always one that stood out for me as interesting. I know Dean Ambrose, was always the fun one, but to me, I couldn't get behind him, and I'm still struggling with John Moxley. I'm not a big deathmatch fan and stuff like that, so when it goes back to them, but I know Ring of Honor, Tyler Black, like I said, that he always did stand out. You knew he was always better than where he was. No disrespect to Ring of Honor, but you could tell there was something about him. But if you have WWE as someone who's perfect for WWE and their style, I think Seth Rollins is the future, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Definitely.
Promos, characters, he's changed so much in a short time. Like how many type of character changes where it's just slight shifts, but they are noticeable, and his work he did with Samoa Joe was brilliant. The only thing that potentially could be a hindrance is I think he is a little bit injury prone, so that could.
But that's again him being very. No, I don't want to use the word messy with him because I know that's not his style. Like that's not his style, and I've seen him wrestling, and I've seen how good he can fucking be. It's almost like he gets carried away. Like he has no self-control because he's just either enjoying it too much or trying to be the perfectionist, and just things go.
The stomp is a great finisher, though.
Yeah,
especially the one against the RKO was amazing.
Yeah, the one at WrestleMania where he actually cashed in the Money in the Bank after he lost to Randy Orton. But I remember that moment when he had Randy down and Randy's neck strength fired Seth up in the air, and he caught him back here. That was always some funny type of technical wrestling, but yes, I do think Seth is the future of WWE. I don't think Roman Reigns is. I think WWE wants Roman to be, but I think they are using him as a stepping stone to get The Rock back. Maybe not this year, but for next year for WrestleMania. That's where the head of the table's going, I think, with that.
What is it that they see in Roman Reigns that I can't? I'm sorry, he is not.
To be fair, he's big, he's beautiful, he is a sexy fucker. So let's be honest.
But he's got nothing else behind him. He has no charisma.
He's killing it as a heel. But
mic skills. I'm sorry, that bloody Superman punch is the only thing going for him. If that's the only thing going for him, then bloody hell, I just don't get it.
Because he's Vince's favourite. He was a new Cena.
Yeah, to be fair, Brock's got Suplex City now. That's all he's got. But I would still pay to see Brock Lesnar. I still think he's entertaining.
I wouldn't. Honestly,
Brock Lesnar's like a genetic freak show. So
I don't get it.
I understand why you'd want to see it.
They're just not my type of wrestlers at all. I don't get it. Even Brock Lesnar, don't get it.
to be fair, the matches I want to see now is Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. I wouldn't see that like a big way. Also, I wouldn't mind seeing Seth versus Matt Riddle. I think because I know Seth doesn't like Matt Riddle, so I think that would be quite.
Does
interesting.
anyone like Matt Riddle?
But to be fair, Matt Riddle can
Matt
handle
Riddle
himself. He's called Riddle now, but he's Randy Orton's partner. He's just like a hippie surfer dude, but he's a former UFC fighter and he knows how to fucking fight. So he's he's not a pussy when it comes to these things, but he's got a bit of a dodgy backstory as well, which we'll not go into. But
okay,
he's not like I say a nice guy, even though the court case has been dropped. But
he's a proper stoner though. That backstage. Yeah.
There was a settlement.
Even though the court case has been dropped now.
I love that. It didn't happen. My favorite Seth Rollins stupid move is there's like this clip of like an indie show where there's like this like fan with a beer and he does like a moonsault off the fan's chest, like he runs up the guy like moonsault.
I thought you were going to talk about selfies that you saw about Seth Rollins, but again, we shouldn't really go
I've seen them.
But yes, I can understand where Martin's last pick is. I'm going to move on to mine because this is my favorite all-time wrestler. This is my number one pick. We've talked about him. He's Mrs. Foley's little boy, Mick Foley, the guy that has reinvented himself in so many different ways and put his body and life through to a point where I think now he's a little bit damaged, bless him, because of what he has done.
But he's still beautiful.
Yeah, like if you go from where he started, Cactus Jack, to Mankind, to the reinvention of Mankind, to Dude Love, bringing back Cactus Jack, and to finally end his career as Mick Foley was absolutely poetic. And I still remember the day that WWE beat WCW in the wars, thanks to Mick Foley being Eric Bischoff being the cleverest man he is, saying, turn over now to watch nobody, Mick Foley, win the WWE title. And you know what everyone did? Everyone turned over to watch it.
Tony Schiavone went, that'll put butts in seats, didn't he? And then it backfired.
Honestly, Paul, what an amazing pick. If this list could have been longer, Mick would have been on there. He is Ant's favourite person, like wrestler, like everything about Mick Foley is just amazing.
New York bestseller, don't forget, motherfucker. New York bestseller.
Oh, I got that book for Christmas.
I read his book. It was so good. Did you read it? And it was talking about the Owen Hart debacle, where everyone was so angry about what happened with Owen Hart, and all the wrestlers were like, right, we're not going to go out and work. We're going to go and strike. And Mick's going, let's go strike.
That wasn't Owen Hart. That was Bret Hart. That was the Bret Hart one when Bret Hart got...
Was it the screw job?
Screw job. It was the screw job.
And he was the only one who went outside.
He's the only one that stayed in the hotel room. He got fired and rehired by Vince on the same day.
That's right. I thought it was Owen Hart. I knew it was a Hart. No. It's been so long since I've read it.
Mm-hmm. But some of the best matches you'll ever see. Mankind versus Shawn Michaels. Absolutely unbelievable. The first match they had, I think, was an in-the-house match. It was the first time they'd done things like pulling up the padding around the ring.
I hated his elbow drop thing. It looks so painful.
He'd done the elbow drop off there. He got a backdrop onto the concrete. Again, the infamous Hell in a Cell match where we thought he was going to be killed. We've talked about the Undertaker in that match, wrestling with a broken ankle. It was his idea to go on top of the cage. He made the Undertaker throw him off the cage onto the announce tables. A few inches to the right, he would have landed on the barricade and it would have been nasty. That wasn't the worst bump of that night. The one where he got choke slammed through the top of the cage. It wasn't even fucking meant to give way. That was a mistake. And it wasn't even the impact of the actual hitting the mat. It was the fact there was a steel chair on top of the cage that folded him down and hit him in the face as he landed. That's what knocked his tooth out of his mouth. I flew it round and landed his nostril, which
and when he lost his ear in the ropes.
Like I say, he's had Alex, I'm not a hardcore fan, but he has had some iconic matches like feuds. The Rock and like even these tag teams, the Rock and Sock connection. He got over Mr. fucking Socko.
Do it for the Micker.
Do it for the Micker. That whole like day where like episode of Raw where it was like, this is your life with the Rock. They brought like Myrtle the female clown down and stuff,
like his old teacher and stuff like that,
and his old girlfriend who wouldn't give the Rock the pie. It's good. Oh, she had bad pie. Go away. But
Commissioner Mick was amazing. Commissioner Mick.
And,
so just a quick story about Commissioner Mick. So when Commissioner Mick came out on Raw to be announced, it was Orlando, Florida. I was in Orlando, Florida watching it on the telly while it was happening, and my dad turned around and walked in and went, try to get your tickets for this slut tonight. I was good. Motherfucker! I was good. No!
But to be fair, Mick Foley is such a nice guy. I reckon if we tweeted out and asked him to come on the podcast, he probably would just for the crack.
Talk about Christmas.
You know what?
Talk about Christmas,
Just how nice the guy is. He's the only one who never backstabbed China. Never backstabbed China. He reached out to her. He made sure, if there were conventions, because China started doing the convention circuit, Mick was always the one who would be like, I'm going to be there. I'll meet up with you. And and it was actually to Mick Foley that China lost the Intercontinental Championship to. And fuck me, like, couldn't have gone to a nicer person, and especially knowing how their relationship was. I just love the man. I love him so much. He's just the nicest guy in wrestling. Really is.
You brought up Beyond the Mat, the movie before, right? He came out good, but like also like probably the most tragic in that one, because they show him the footage of like watching his kids in the audience, like he gets to see that. It's like
Dewey and
Noel. I kind of feel like the worst dad in the world right about now and stuff like that. And it's like interesting that he'd never seen, or he'd never like thought of that side of it, if you know what I mean. Like what he shows like other people. It's interesting.
But I think with that match as well, good point though, Jake. That wasn't meant to happen the way it was. I think it was supposed to happen like 2 chair shots, but the Rock went a bit crazy and hit him like 24 times a swing with a chair.
I quit match. That was awful.
That's why I'm not sure I do like the Rock as a person, because it's like, what were you doing that night?
But did you hear about what Mick Foley tried to do with the Rock? He tried to, because when he come back and the Rock said, we'll have a program. He said, well, how are we going to bring into a program? Because like say we've got no beef. You went, well, that we'll go back to that match and we'll roll it back, and because I've got footage that after you hit me 24 times, you never came to see how I was in the back. He went, we'll use that as the angle, saying you basically disrespected us that way. And he was like, The Rock said, no, because that's going to make me the ultimate bad guy. That'll like say I can't come back from that. That was Mick Foley's idea. Like, because when they rolled back the footage, it's true. Austin came and seen him. Like Vince McMahon came and seen him, but The Rock never seen to see how he was. So that was the quite interesting thing. But Mick's done so much for this business. I know he had the sad, tired run in TNA when he shouldn't have done it, but I think it was more to do just to try and carry on his legacy. But
he doesn't need to, though, does he?
I think TNA were handing out paychecks to legacy guys as well. So
I just think he's done more than enough for us as an entertainer, as a wrestler, as a person. We don't need any more from him. We just need him to be happy and live out his Santa Claus fantasy every single day. I just don't want anything bad to happen. I don't want in a few years' time to have the same feelings I do for Terry Funk and how sad I feel for him and how his life's going at the moment. I don't want that for Mick. I want him to have like the healthiest time now, like he deserves it.
And again, he had the best catchphrases, have a nice day, and that badge was iconic, and just like bang bang, it was scary, it was the funniest thing. But he was terrifying as well. Like I said, when he was in a match, you genuinely like, even his dude love, Yeah, even his dude
Oh,
Love. Like,
Lord have
Lord
mercy.
have mercy. He'd lived his best life, and I love that Royal Rumble appearance when he came back. He's done 3 appearances when he got limited as much.
That was amazing.
This Jack
350.
Yeah, that was always like, say, and he used to have the best promos. I know now when he does a promo, I kind of flinch because he's not got the memory and he's not got, like, say, the wit as he used to. But some of his promos, like, say, he does stand-up shows and stuff. But when he's in the wrestling ring, like when they brought him back as commissioner, when they had him on live on the mic, it got uncomfortable at times, and especially when they're feeding him lines, and you can see them mouthing the words to him as well. That was a bit sad. I didn't need to see that.
Do you remember when they did like that 3 Faces of Foley angle, and they were doing like the JR interviews with him, like they were fake, like, but and he was like telling his backstory about like eating the worms and stuff, and he's like, I sucked it down, like all that stuff. and then he attacks JR at the end. Like that was like genuinely scary, like to me when I was like watching it happen, because I was like, geez, what's he gonna do in the ring if he's like he's like attacking JR in the back just for talking to him type of thing. JR's been set on fire and everything in those.
Who are JR?
There was a WWE tweet which made me laugh, and they tweeted, "Thanks for voting your greatest Mick Foley moment when Mick Foley was tossed off the Hell in a Cell." And Mick Foley replied, "Please don't say tossed off. It means something different in Britain."
Yeah, no, I remember that. But again, one of my favourite Foley moments, if we're going to do this, is basically when he's playing doctor to Vince McMahon in the hospital, and he's like doing the little Mr. That's when I think we first got introduced to Mr. Sapmore, and he's like trying to help him. And he's bringing in the clown and trying to cheer him up. But honestly, absolutely brilliant. Like comedy gold, sinister, anything that they threw at him, he made gold.
The package he had, the package.
Yeah, so that had to be my favourite pick. Like I say, I absolutely adore the man. Mrs. Foley's baby boy there. So yes, that's my last. Awesome. That's my last pick. So,
we're done.
So yes, so it's been an epic one. So thank you guys so much. Again, if there's anything that you guys want to add before we do wrap up,
just thank you.
Just thanks for having us. It's been fun.
Great to share.
I'll talk about wrestling for a million years, I guess.
Yeah, same here.
Well, I knew this was going to be a long one. I knew it was always going to be, like, say, a fun one as well.
And you know what? It's ideal that it's gone on live, to be fair, because if we did this as a normal recording, I would have suggested doing it in 2 parts.
Yeah.
Like breaking it up into 2 parts as a part 1 to part 2. But now that it's gone on live, hi everyone, who's watching
thank you for watching, everybody.
Live, just like wrestling.
Yes, exactly. We just did a wrestling show for you guys. This is the time it's on. But yeah, I've had fun. This has been a good episode. Loved it. Thank you for joining us, you two.
Yes, and we will be seeing you again soon. I know Jake and Martin are both joining us in the charity podcast when we're doing this for 12 hours. He's only getting an hour slot, bless you. So again,
save the kitty.
Save the kitties. That's what we're trying to do. On the 20th of August, from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. 10th to August, November. Sorry, it's been a busy week for us. Leave us alone. Yes, so we're going to have a lot of wonderful guests again. Donna's going to be helping run that show as well.
Hey, Donna.
We've got Charlotte and Kev starting us off, and we've got some new people coming on that's never done not doing the podcast before, and we've got Grant returning, which will be interesting to see how he's going to take it. We've got Sam's lovely sister Michaela returning as well, to cause me pain, no doubt. But so it's going to be a lot of fun. And again, we're trying to hit £200. We're halfway there, so please donate. There's a link on the Facebook page. There's a link on the Instagram page. Again, please join us on Nerdy Up North community. It is a laugh. We all have a great, like I say, we are being a little bit of a family there. Also, as well, like I say, if Charlotte will tell us off if I forget again.
Yes, I was just going to say, I was going to bring this up if you didn't. So yeah, join Charlotte's Book Club.
Yes, and I believe Charlotte and Kev are returning next week for our episode about our top 5 90s movies.
Okay, so Kev's coming too.
Yeah, I think Kev's joining us on the podcast as well at the same time.
Sort your mic out, Kev. Sort your mic out.
Oh, didn't he'll start crying about that again.
Kev.
And then I think potentially on the weekend, on the Sunday, we are going to do a special episode, our review of Ghostbusters, where Martin will be joining us again, and we will be having the lovely Babs from Bob's Babs on the podcast, who makes loads of custom pops, which she posted the pictures of today, and they looked really amazing.
I want that Lewis toy one.
Yes, but so we've got a lot of things planned, and again,
exciting times.
The week after that, we've got a very special guest joining us to talk about all things X-Files. So keep that one a bit secret for you. But yes,
special agents coming up.
Yes, special agents. But yes, this has been an absolute hoot, and I'm glad the live has worked.
Awesome.
And like I say, we have had a lot of people commenting on the live and seem to have been joining in. So thank you so much for tuning in.
Do you feel better now?
I know it works.
Do you feel better about the live? Yeah, but do you feel better now that once we're going into live?
That's fine. I know how that works. That's the main thing. If it didn't work, I would have been fucked, because there's no point trying it on a day for a 12-hour stint when it's not going to work. But now I know we can get it to work. That's put my mind at ease. And Facebook didn't kick us off for swearing. So, I mean, YouTube didn't kick us off for swearing. So that's always good.
No, so, yes. Facebook just kicks you off for saying drop dead Fred.
Yeah. Motherfuckers. Yes.
Let's go. It's been a long one.
It's been emotional. So yes. So thank you guys, and thank you for bringing so much to the community as well. These are both big, huge parts, and you do things. So again, same bat time, same bat channel.
Stay nerdy, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Bye.